Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very, 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 very special episode of Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. This is the official Election Day special. It's here. Um, and I'm glad to be here. Before I get started and let my guests introduce themselves, just a friendly reminder, you can still visit the Cornel West website at I've got to get my work address, cornelwest2024.com. That is where you can learn to know how to donate. Um, you can learn about the platform, how the party is going to move, how the justice for all party is going to move forward. And the such and such. So we're trying to get these screens just particularly straight. Okay, so who wants to introduce themselves first? I'll let our gentleman go first.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, quick. You hear me? Awesome. So, hi, I'm Henry. I'm an organizer in New York City, and I was part of the West campaign there, and excited to be here.
Okay, and this person has appeared on our podcast 18,425,000 times. Robin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Robin. I volunteered a bit on the Cornel West campaign here. I collected signatures. I'm from Washington, Bremerton, Washington, near Seattle, and I just voted for for Doctors West and Abdullah, and so did Jose. So.
Great. Trisha, you are last but not certainly least.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Trisha Kinch. I'm the chair of the Justice for All Committee in Washington, D.C. But I went to the University of Washington 100 years ago. So it's nice to see somebody from Washington State.
Yep. And guys, this is what we don't want to hear tonight. Because I'm here for the long haul. I've already said, hey, I'm going to be late for work tomorrow. Don't look for me. I'm going to be asleep. So I plan on being here a long time.
Wow.
Trolls, we had some trolls come in last week, and not going to too much tolerate it this week. Don't come in here with the Dr. West can't win, blah, blah, blah. We not trying to hear that. See, we not here for that mess today. We just here to call the election the way it goes down. That is it. That is all. So I'm telling you, do it. Just put it in the comment section that you should have put your hopes so high and blah, blah, blah. You're going to get blocked because I don't got time for it. I'm not here to play with y'all today. Seriously, because you didn't watch the show last week. I had to play with some people thought I was here to play games, and I'm not. So we can now call the states of Kentucky, Indiana, and Vermont. Kentucky has went to Trump. Indiana, which real big shot, it went to Trump, and Vermont went to Harris. Now you all should have gotten your little cheat sheets to keep track of like which state you're gonna win each. Because I emailed those.
Sorry about that.
Today.
I did.
But you could I just gave it to you so you can keep track of who's who.
Okay.
Here's the thing, dear Tracy.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I apologize for being a little discombobulated. There, as you know, there's a bunch of stuff going on. But how is this podcast going to coincide with the campaign celebration? Are y'all planning on missing it?
Yes, I will be missing it. Now, if you
Okay.
jump off and go, that's perfectly fine. But
Okay.
I already knew I was going to do a special.
Oh, okay.
I had
Okay.
this planned for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Okay. I got it. So that's what I'm going to do. It starts at 8 Eastern time, I believe, if I got it right.
yep.
So if if you folks don't mind, I will say my contributions or whatever you want me to do between now and 8 when I'm going to hop off and go to the other deal.
Yep. So there was that was planned just like the other day. So I'm like, nope, I had mine planned like 6 weeks ago. So guess that's how I do. Um, this isn't, I think, yo, it's not over, right? And that's what I want to tell all of the West Abdullah supporters out there. This may not come out the way that we want, because all four of us, I know we all wanted Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah to win this thing, win it decisively, and win it in a way that would leave no doubt. But just because this doesn't go the way we want, doesn't mean the work that we do stops.
Yeah,
And
could I'd like to say that I really value the leadership of Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah in calling what we're doing a movement. And I want to remind and encourage folks that none of the significant movements that people like me who've been around for a while or that y'all have heard about, they weren't started in one election season. They started when they needed to start from grassroots folks and students. Most of our significant movements, civil rights, ending the Vietnam War, a couple more that I can't think of right off the bat. LGBTQ rights. They were started by people who had the courage and the principles to get it started and reached out and organized and worked with people. And that's what we've done. And I couldn't be prouder because I'm really clear on the principles that we're standing up for. And I've met a lot of wonderful people. And we're going to keep this thing going. Tonight is just the beginning.
yep, and
Oh,
Mhm.
go ahead, guys. I'm sorry.
no,
No,
I
the,
just want to say that oh, sorry.
no, no,
I've
go
met
ahead.
so many selfless people in the Cornel West campaign. They're just all on board with all of these policies. The whole justice for all, the justice for everyone, the all lives, every life is precious. And it is a moment in a movement. You're right. It's
Yep,
a
yep. Henry, you wanted to say something.
No, just the different kinds of people who have come together to be part of the foundation are so broad, and it's just like a house. It's asymmetric. It's like nothing's done, nothing's done, nothing's done. Then you walk by one day and like boom, there's four stories and there's another monstrosity. Um,
exactly.
And you guys, you're gonna see me look down a lot because that's where I'm getting my election returns.
Okay.
Sell out. Yeah. Bernie Sanders has um re-won his bid. He's going to be maintained as the senator from the state of Vermont. Just so
Okay.
we all know. Hey, I'm giving an
I
election
was just kind
terms
of like not that
all
that
night.
thrilled about
I
Bernie.
cannot. You know what, Trisha? I can't find that link because I was gonna be on the link and I can't find it.
What link to the party?
Yeah, to the one at 8 because I was
Oh,
gonna hit it on my phone and watch it on my phone while I'm doing this.
oh, I'm scared of you multitasking.
Yeah, I can, but
This
I can't find the
while you're doing
link.
that,
So, did anybody
this
else
is one of
get
the
it?
first times I voted where I've written in
Robin, your camera is
A Democrat,
your.
it would be easy, it'd be over with. I researched, I looked up everyone, I found people to write in because the Democrats in my district also are all pro genocide. They are being backed by.
And that's the sad thing. It's
It's
like,
been
and I know
eye-opening.
people on my Facebook page get tired of me always talking about genocide, but I'm like, how are you all so happy with it? It's like you're supporting this candidate and it's not even a factor for you. You don't even consider it. You just are like, well, okay, whatever.
Well, I think that speaks to one of
Yeah.
the significant things that we as a movement have to get on top of: voter education and information, because folks aren't connecting the dots. They're playing what do they call it? Identity politics.
Yep.
They're not
Mhm.
looking. I always encourage people to think about what's important to you personally, what is important to your community, what do you think in general is important in the world. And for me, honestly, I did not support the Biden administration the last time because they lied to us about well, not they lied to us, but Medicare for all. That would have been the
Mhm.
simplest thing to give the Bernie folks, to bring them in to the party, because the right and the left support Medicare for all. But the corporate medical people, corporate pharma, did not support it. So that's why they didn't support it. So I voted. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't even remember the dude's name, but I voted for the Green Party the last time, and I
Howie
think.
Howie
and
Hawkins.
Happy Hawkins.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't giving my vote to Biden the last time,
Mhm.
and people who are walking around acting like Kamala Harris is going to do anything different from the corporate duopoly directors, they're smoking something, okay?
But
Or
that's the
drinking some
thing, though.
Kool-Aid.
She's told people she's not going to do anything different,
Exactly.
and they're still voting for her.
I
And
know.
that's even a
Oh,
sign
but they're
that's.
making up things.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I'm
Good.
just like, yeah, what happened to morality? And
Kool-Aid.
But even that's a sign. Even she's gonna. The stock market was booming earlier today, predicting that they're very excited for a Harris win because it's going to be business as usual.
Usual. Mhm.
And
But
so
they'll
that's
be
what you can
happy
look at.
either way. I mean,
What do
people
you-
would be so if this thing is called early, um, which I don't suspect it will be, they're gonna be celebrating. And I'm like, and I said this last night on a show that nobody watched, but that's okay. I still went live anyway. Um, what are you celebrating? Like, what is it that you're celebrating? This is not
um,
a time for celebration. This is a time to stop genocide. This is a time to for student loan debt forgiveness. This is a time for this is a time to work, not celebrate.
Well, honestly, the sad truth is, and that's why I say part of our job is going to be voter education, because people are not really looking at the issues. And it's part of the fault of corporate media. They don't focus on the issues. They focus on personalities. I've been so bombarded by emails, stupid emails. Kamala said this, Trump said that. Who cares? They're both going to be horrible for the country. And people, one way or the other, win, lose, or draw, they're going to learn it soon enough. But our movement needs to continue to educate and inform people of their rights, of what's really going on, and help them take a look at the people that you've elected and what they are or not doing for your community.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm waiting for another state to come in because another one just came in, so I'm trying to see what it is. Um, it's so disheartening, right? It's so hard because the people I run into, they'll tell me exactly what the problem is. And they'll say, they're both crooked and you can't trust them. And yet they'll say, I'm voting for them because they can win.
I like him on.
Which is sad. Very
Also, I mean, just to be fair too, I mean, I think some people are voting for are just they don't know.
Yep.
It's really just the sad thing is there's so much money out there. There's so much omnipresence and saturation and everything like that of these people. And if you're looking, folks are going, like the engagement of folks election, it goes down, 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 down every year. Less and less people are voting. And then more and more people are so disengaged, so disheartened by what's going on and the lack of progress, they don't even touch the news. So even if Dr. West was was being given the time, they wouldn't even be able to see that. They wouldn't be able to reach any of that until somebody they knew in their life reached out to them. And it's a monumental task.
And then how do we move forward with that, right? Because if we're trying to establish a party, and I'm certain that we'll get some direction on that within the next couple of weeks, how do we get around that, right? Because we've been saying, Dr. West has been saying, my target is the person that doesn't vote. But it seems like to me they're voting for either the Democrats or Republicans.
I mean, there's a huge opportunity out there, though. I mean, there's 500,000 races in the United States. Like 470-something thousand will be called tonight. There's so many different positions, too many positions, in my opinion. But they all have some sort of power. They all touch the lives of people. They're all so many of them are uncontested, like 70%. And there are people who are engaged by that just because they know somebody personally who's running. It's like literally like 1 out of every 40 Americans or something like that is an elected official. It's like a crazy, insane number, like dog catchers, open space people. I mean, there's all these weird offices. And so if there was a JFA person running for that, you're breaching out of these different mainstream media bubbles, movement bubbles, things like that, to reach people who are just completely disengaged. And that's how, like, other parties, like in the first past the post system, like the Green Party in the UK, they just won 4 MPs, which is like the top rate, election you can get over there, because they just did local elections year after year after year and put their candidates up, then not expecting them to win. And they had enough local officials where they were able to reach into people and people were able to see those values in action, that they went and they started to vote at the top of the ticket.
But I want it now.
This is about local elections. In my where I am, there are a lot of there are like parties, like we're very much a developer. There's a developer kind of real estate lobby culture in our area, and the politicians, the candidates can't get a foothold unless they're endorsed by these people, that these groups that their only concern is really making money, greed, corruption, and we're, I've been here fighting. We have the no camping bans, and we have developers eliminating environmental protections, and we've got all these things. It's like a cluster bomb of stuff that's out there. And I'm just trying to educate people about what's going on just in our city, that's happening. And it's all about money backing. Also dark money backing, like opportunity zone investors and whatnot. And it's really made me realize that it's the same all throughout the country. It's like from local to state to the country. It's the same people that are influencing politicians. And
Exactly.
Can I ask you a question? What kind of involvement and engagement did you get from folks in your city and area and the state? Did you get some levels of support for Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah?
The only place I felt it was in Seattle, a small section of Seattle. Otherwise, not really. It was like there was a group in Seattle that we all met there, but other than that, very little.
So, did they get on the ballot in Washington State?
Yes, we got them on the ballot in Washington.
Wow.
But and the thing is, we only had 1,000 signatures, but we had to jump through so many hoops to do it. We had to 9 days before we had to decide on one location. We couldn't leave that location. So if it was a park, we had to stay in that park. People had to come to us. It was hard.
That's the name of the game, though, right there. Because New York, it's 50,000 signatures.
Oh my
New York is not 50 times bigger than Washington State.
No, but can you go door to door? Can you do it at any time you want to gather them?
Yes, but you get legal challenges in New York, and this is something I've worked with Canada's New before. You always have to get at least double, so you have to get 100,000 signatures in New York.
Exactly, we had to.
And that Harris and Trump. They had all their local candidates when they were going out getting on their own ballot. They just also had a Harris-Trump ballot there, and then boom, you're immediately on the ballot. So it's hilarious because you can have a wide thing of support, and I think in New York we did get a ton of support for West, and you can even be the person who has the most signatures, and they can still say no.
Exactly.
And hit this imaginary threshold.
Yeah, and I don't know, Trisha, how it was in Washington, D.C. Did you all go petition? Because I don't even know what the signature.
Well, in the District of Columbia, we needed approximately 5,000 signatures. And, we were saying we should get more, like we'll try to get at least another, 2,000 or 3,000. But the reality is we didn't quite even get to 1,000. And we had some folks who were interested, but as far as really doing the work and being engaged, it was like invasion of the body snatchers. Folks were there, folks were on the list, folks might have responded or might have talked to somebody, but at the end of the day, I didn't have no boots on the ground, and even now
with faces.
Pardon me?
Yep, that was the same thing that happened in Indiana. Our support was so pathetic. I mean, it was just awful because, and hello, Nelson. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for that. That comment too.
I was announced a few days ago.
I did not pay attention. Sorry.
I'm just, it's people say they want to change. They want to change, and then you present them with the opportunity, like, here's how you could change things. And they either say, I'm supporting the Democrats. We got everything. We got comments from, I don't believe in third parties. Third parties shouldn't even exist. We got a lot of that. We got, you just take away votes. And remember, in Indiana, we had to have 37,963. I know the exact number.
Wow.
We started off with 20 volunteers. We got down to 6, then we got down to 3, and now we're down to 2.
Oh my gosh.
So people volunteer, and then I don't think they know the work involved.
Right.
And I think, especially with third parties, it's like they don't know the work that it takes to do
It's
what it
real.
is that
It was
we do.
really eye-opening, actually.
It was eye open, and I'm like, you know what? If we run candidates local, I'm just gonna be like, oh, I got to grit my teeth and do this again because people are just so rude.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so rude. They will say anything like, "Why are you collecting these signatures? You can't change." We had one guy. We went to the fire station, and one of Dr. West's platform um, is to eliminate poverty. He's like, "You can't do that." Well, why can't you do that? What makes you think you that can? And you run. That's what we ran into. And you would think Indiana's a Republican state, so they would think, oh well, if I support West, they'll take away votes. People were just. It was. Just, I mean, we went everywhere. We went to the Pride Festival. We went to the race. We went to every place we would maybe get. I don't even think we got 500. I literally don't think we got 500.
Well, I just want to say that it is hard, but what's really important is to be committed and keep your spirits up. I I created this little thing. Um, Let me see. It's a module. I don't know if y'all want to borrow it or not, but it's like prayer, priorities, and perspective. And what I believe for me, prayer. I've always been religious. I've always believed in a higher power. Um, but during a campaign, it needs to be a daily thing just to keep your soul from shriveling up, you know?
Or to
And
knock somebody in the face.
right.
And to me, the essence of prayer is like grace, right? It's like you're given something you do not deserve, and and it's and I'm going to give it to you anyway. And I think that's what it is. And I do think at the fundamental too, though, if you do give it out there, it does come back to you, but it doesn't come back to you immediately. Is it going to come back to you when you're holding that clipboard? Probably not, but
I know, but that's and we got lists. And I know everybody's watching this, and I'm gonna say this at the end. Um, there's no room to celebrate tonight.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm gonna be celebrating.
um,
And
Can I
well,
ask?
no, let me say what I'm saying though, in terms of the duopoly candidates. If Harris wins, there's no reason for me to celebrate. If Trump wins, there's no reason for me to celebrate. What I can celebrate though is there is a platform out there that that addresses the needs of the common person. Now, I don't know how to take the steps to get that out to the common person. That's what I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it, as much as I complain, as much as I'm like, I'm tired of this, where else am I going to go?
we're gonna do this together. Sorry, folks, I gotta go. But if nothing's going on, I'll hop back and maybe I'll see you at the celebration.
Or if anybody else wants to join us. It's nice seeing you again, Trisha.
Nice seeing you
it's great to
all.
meet you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And hey, we'll be seeing more of each other because we're just beginning. Take care. And thanks
Thank
for
you.
all your hard work. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I think the frustrating thing for me is there's people always say, like, how come if everybody supports Medicare for all, how come if a huge amount of people are resonating with what Dr. West is saying and with his message, and even know him and are inspired by him, because he's touched so many people throughout all the writing and speaking that he's done far before this. How come they're not there showing up for us? And I think people forget that in politics it's two things. It's like, one, it's like, well, yeah, you have to have a message, and people gotta you gotta convince people to agree with you, and you're gonna have to capitalize on what people do agree with, which I think we have. But you also people have to believe that you can make that change. People have to believe that if you are saying, okay, I'm going to go in and do this, that you can do it. And the issue, I think, isn't that folks are like, no, if you get a JFA candidate, it doesn't matter. If you get Dr. West in the presidency, or even if you get somebody who Dr. West is supporting somewhere else, they can't do something when they're in office. They just don't believe that a third party candidate can win, at all. And I think, and so they're just like, well, I don't believe you and I think that's where that isn't possible, that, eliminating poverty isn't possible, ending the genocide is impossible. I think that's where that sort of stuff comes from, because they're like, I don't believe that somebody can get in there and speak truth power. They're going to get assassinated. They're going to get, they're not going to, make it possible.
But why are people okay with that? I was watching a podcast, and I won't call it a podcast, but I was watching it Saturday, and one of the people said, well, if Dr. West, because they specifically called out Dr. West, well, he won't stop genocide if he's president. And I'm like, well, Kamala Harris won't stop it, and she's actually in the position to stop it. So what's the difference?
Stopping arms sales stops the genocide. I mean, would stop the genocide. So, yeah.
I mean, it's just so frustrating that people set these standards for third party. You guys do not. I mean, I know you all went out. I don't know, Henry, what state are you in?
New York.
New York.
Okay, so you were out there gathering signatures, I'm assuming. What did you find that people were saying? Because I'm telling, we got some of the, it was like all the mean people came out for us.
Okay.
It was just like, okay, here we go. We're mean. We're going to just come out.
As a New Yorker, I mean, I feel like I have a very high threshold tolerance for mean. Because
you probably do.
they're just prickly. That is how they are, naturally. But I mean, I've gathered a lot of signatures for a lot of candidates. I'll be very honest, I didn't do as much for West as I would have hoped I could do. And I think I didn't honestly get something too drastically different than I get when I'm out there for somebody else who, because I've done candidates who've been challenging the power in New York before, gathered signatures for them, and it's the same thing is what I get from people. Yeah, that's great. That's really cool. Not gonna happen though, but very nice. But I saw 6 guys like you yesterday, and I'll, and I believe that if it doesn't happen this time, you'll be there again, so I'll have another opportunity, and blah blah blah. Nothing's got better.
Okay, Nelson with another comment. What has come out of the election is a moment and a movement of truth, justice, and love. We can't leave it for the last minute. We have 4 years now to reach as many people as possible to commit to 2028. I agree. But Nelson, don't forget this. Congress is coming up in 2026. We cannot forget about that.
No. Don't forget about Congress. Next year, there's thousands of elections. Next year,
just on a national,
the national builds off of the local.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I agree. Okay, I see where you're going.
You gotta put this is a mistake the Green Party, one of the many mistakes the Green Party made, but this is the fundamental flaw in their strategy. Is the Green Party is like, we'll come out on presidential year and we'll rile up all the Greens to vote for it. Meanwhile, you see people. They register green and then they atrophy. They drop out. They re-register. They do something else because they don't see them out. You have to have a consistent presence all the time.
We need more local politicians. Local candidates for justice for all.
I agree with that. So here's what my challenge will be tonight and my podcast Saturday. I'll start challenging this, making this challenge. There's no way I'm running for office. Because I got one problem, and that is my mouth. I'm just going to say exactly what I think. I don't know how to turn it off. I don't know how to be politically correct.
That would be refreshing.
No, Robin, not the way I do it. I can be rude. I can be sarcastic. Of all the things that, And I don't think, like, if the media would start asking me questions, I'm just going to go off. And I think when you run for office, you have to have a certain
I
presence.
I am so tired of people smiling and lying.
Yeah, people
I
say
just
that,
really am
but
so
I think
tired
I
of
think
that.
for me, it's my stance on legal marijuana. I'm not for it. I'm telling y'all now, I'm not for it. Everybody can do you, boo, but I'm not for. I don't think it should be legal. I know people are gonna knock me
It's
down
already
for that,
legal here.
right? And I'm like, I know, but I'm talking about me personally, right?
Yeah,
I'm for decriminalization, absolutely, positively.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
like when you get out in the streets, I'm like, yeah, do what you want in your house. But when you get on that public square, I'm gonna need you to put that out. But that's me, right? I know for some leftists, that's gonna be a deterrent for voting for somebody like me.
But that's we
That's
shouldn't be.
one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no,
It's
no, go
one
ahead. Go
issue,
ahead.
but there's a whole lot. Um,
No,
That's why it's not sustainable to say no. You can't. You have to agree with every single issue, all the way down, all the different things going on in our lives. You have to believe in the fundamental values and agreements and philosophy, I think, of justice. But I don't think you have to, you know.
I get where you're going, but
the
okay,
thing, the thing
Michael,
about
check your email.
oh, oh me
No, I said Michael. He said,
oh
"Where's his link at?" And I'm like, "Check your email." Keep talking, guys. I'm gonna get this to him real quick.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Robin. I'm so sorry.
no, I can't even remember. I think I was just agreeing with you. Oh, the marijuana legalization is just again one issue, but it also comes down to right, like Tracy was saying, criminalization, where people are sitting in jail because of having marijuana. I mean, that's to me crazy. That should not be the case. You know, um, and that's my point on marijuana legalization. It's because people are being put in jail disproportionately, for nonviolent offenses like smoking marijuana.
And I mean, like I said, I just know that's one of the many things that I'm like, for me, I think it's time for us to I think it's time for us to encourage people to run, but not
Mhm. I don't know. By the way, I was gonna tell you about the meme. The first time I went out to gather signatures was really eye opening. I'd never done it before. I went to meet some really nice Cornell supporters. They were wonderful, and so I was feeling all upbeat. And we had one park that we had to stay to. It was Cal Anderson Park in Seattle, and unfortunately, the Greens and De La Cruz were all there at that one park. Everybody was like stuck in that park, going round and round, asking people for signatures. And we were told to be nice, to like if somebody was trying to start an argument, you just would kind of leave or say, okay, that's like that.
yeah, okay. Not to interrupt, but Maryland has just been called for Harris.
And I'll say Harris is doing better in Philadelphia, doing a little bit better in Philadelphia, or Trump more so. Should say Trump's doing worse in Philadelphia than he was.
Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Hi, good evening.
Michael.
Hi.
Hey, Michael.
Hi. Sorry to join the party late.
That's
I
No,
heard
it's
okay.
okay. I'm glad you're here.
Washington D.C. just got called for Harris.
Harris. Yeah, Harris is. Yeah, but I heard you guys' conversation about the legalization of marijuana. I understand there are differences in philosophy and supporting it. Me personally, I hate to see people go to jail for marijuana possession because It's a non-violent offense. It's a non-violent crime. So to me, it doesn't make sense to put someone in prison for marijuana possession, literally, because
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that I don't believe it should be legal. I don't.
right,
And
I
that's
get
probably
that.
because of my religious conviction that I'm just not going to believe in it.
What's your
But
religion?
putting somebody in jail is just not going to make sense either. Nobody should be sitting in jail
Right,
because they smoke something that I don't like. Because if I
right,
don't like it, I just shouldn't smoke it.
right. I understand. I get that. Yeah, I mean, because to be honest, when we incarcerate people for marijuana possession, I mean, I don't know. I don't. I'm not an expert on marijuana, but what I do know is that uh, when the police make arrests for people for who have marijuana possession, the police are not solving like real crimes. When I say real crimes, we're talking about like violent crimes, robbery,
Mhm.
theft. They're supposed to be focused on those. They're just targeting people because they possess marijuana. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And yeah, and Tracy, I understand where you're coming from. Why you're against the legalization of marijuana because we don't know what people can do with it. They can do some crazy stuff. But I do agree that we cannot incarcerate people for for small amounts of marijuana because it just doesn't make sense. And to be honest, the police when they bust people for marijuana, the police themselves want to make money too off of marijuana. So to me, doesn't make sense. And even the legalization of marijuana, a lot of police officers in most states are not aware that marijuana has been legalized. So they initially think that the the marijuana laws are still the marijuana laws are still intact or they haven't been updated to show that to show that they have been decriminalized. And it's just frustrating that people who have been released from prison for marijuana and also who advocate for legalization of marijuana, they had to keep explaining to law enforcement, DA. You do guys realize that marijuana the legalization of marijuana has been popular, and so it also has to do with age too of the DA, the district attorneys, law enforcement, chief of police, sheriffs, because a lot of them are not, especially the police. You'd be very surprised how they don't keep in touch with um they'll keep in touch with the trends. I'm sorry, the changes in policies. Because for in order for legalization of marijuana, for the policies to be passed for legalization of marijuana, a lot of law enforcement agencies need to be trained, need to be educated. Because when you don't educate them on the legalization of marijuana, they're gonna keep making more arrests, and then then it's gonna be not only that, but then those people who be in the course are gonna have to spend a lot of money to hire attorney. So I think this is where education, advocacy, trade really do play a role because we can pass many laws, right? But 9 out of 10 times, most police officers they're not trained on the Constitution, so that's the problem.
Yep. And another state just came in.
Uh-huh.
No shocker here. Alabama went to Trump.
Yeah,
What
I guess.
I'm here.
Robin, you're breaking up.
Yeah, I
Can,
can.
oh, am I breaking up?
Yes.
Oh,
And for some reason, you're in black and white.
is that it? I was trying to change my light. I was thinking, why am I so? I think
Robin's
it's.
coming at us from the past.
Yeah, I guess so. She went in the past and said, hey.
Right.
Thank you for saying that. Hang on, I'm just gonna try settings. Maybe, maybe
But
there's something.
another thing that got this campaign at a disadvantage that we really have to correct
Uh huh.
is the amount of money this campaign had access to. You
Right.
cannot. I want everybody out there that supports Dr. West to hear what I'm saying. Hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. You cannot run a presidential campaign, a campaign for Congress, a campaign for governor, a campaign for state representative, a camp. The only you can't even run a city county campaign with $1.2 million. You cannot. Now, am I saying, hey, go out there and take PAC money? No, I am not.
Right.
But but we got to step our game up.
Absolutely.
This is
So
where this is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Henry, go play.
Okay. No, I mean, I think this is. I mean, I think the marijuana versus money thing is an interesting conversation because it can get to the point where some of these issues are actually red herrings because you have to look at what's the underlying issue, what's the root issue that affects all of those different things, right?
Right.
And so if you so on the point about Canada staying trustworthy, it's just you need to pick a few things for them to stay trustworthy on. Like, are you just going to take money from local people and not from companies, not from PACs, not from special interests? That eliminates a whole hell of a lot of issues right there.
Yes.
And when you look at some of these issues, I think there's a lot of people you say like, whataboutism, like this person, you don't share my opinion on XYZ things, more niche than marijuana, to be fair. But I think it's if you're just like, well, I'm open for the people deciding on that, that's actually that also answers some of these problems as well, because like most of marijuana legalization has been done by ballot initiatives.
Right.
So if you
Yeah,
have personal
yep,
things against that, you can just say let the people decide.
yep. Now
And
that's true. But
it's the same
here's
thing
the
too.
thing about Indiana: we don't live in that type of state. If it doesn't come through the legislature, it ain't happening.
Right.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, some states have
Yeah, some
ballot
states.
initiatives,
Yeah,
such as
we're not one
California.
of those states. See, we don't get to do that. Okay, now you still in black and white.
I tried turning on this little
Yeah.
yellow or light. I should set up better. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I think that's what my overall point is. I think some of us, we had such high expectations. Like my expectation, I know I had high expectations, but I also knew it was going to take me coming off a cup. It was going to take me, hey, I'm going to miss a cup of coffee this month. Now I'm not going to miss the essentials. I'm not going to miss my insulin. I'm not going to miss, things that I have to have. But I could skip having a cup of coffee a month. I could skip, going out to eat when I could just very well make something at home. And it's another thing where I don't think supporters are fully aware of what it takes, especially for an independent candidate like Dr. West to run. I mean, there were states that we could have definitely used people to help us gather. We even asked, hey, could you come help us gather signatures? And people were like, no, we're gathering petitions ourselves. Um, and so, we could have used what RFK, who happened to make the ballot in Indiana. He actually got to pay people to come in to gather those signatures.
But that doesn't.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, that's a false equivalence. I mean, as far as like the paying thing, because if somebody's getting paid and they're not committed, if they're going out and they're collecting signatures
I'm
for
not saying, but
him,
here's what I'm
there's a
saying
difference
though. Yes,
too.
I get what you're saying, but here's my but to that.
Mm-hmm.
You could just get volunteer. You could get actual Cornel West volunteers and say, hey, because that's what North Carolina did. They actually paid their own volunteers to get signatures.
That's yeah.
They actually paid their own volunteers to get signatures.
Exactly.
So I don't see why that couldn't be done. I mean, and you had to, and again, my point, you had to have money to do all those things because you had to get, unfortunately, you had to get commercials and you had to be, social media is only going to get you so far.
Yeah, it's funny. I was accused. A lot of us were accused of being paid.
I wish.
Gatherers. And I was like, no, we're not.
You're just trying to get the election to Trump. After all, when Trump gets elected, because that's my prediction, I still say
Uh-huh.
Trump is winning tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
he's actually leading. Actually, I found out the score
yeah,
for
but
him.
there's a whole bunch of states that have not came in.
Yeah, Trump. Let me finish quickly. Sorry to interrupt. So Trump is leading with 95 electoral votes. Camilla 35. So Camilla's like 46%. Donald Trump is like 54.5%. So we can just call this election and say, hey, Trump is the winner. It's very clear that Trump is going to win. He's not too far from 270 electoral votes. Because he's gaining ground in the South, Midwest, and not too many, not to and some in the desert like Arizona.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna totally disagree what you just said. Um, because that because you got Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin. There's a whole bunch of states that she's about to pick up, and she's gonna pick them up in growth. And especially when you move to states like
uh-huh.
California, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon.
Yeah, those are given. Like we know
So
very
yeah,
good. Those states
I
are
mean, those
given.
are
Like they're
given.
gonna.
She hasn't gotten those. Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you. I don't
but
think
but
that I don't think that is going to be a lot closer. I still think
Uh-huh.
ultimately Trump, unfortunately, is going to
For
win.
the will, of course. Right.
well,
But
I also had to factor in that the swing states that Cornelius are doing well in, that she needs those votes. Yeah, she's definitely not going to win the swing states, but I do think she's going to narrow the gap.
well, she's leading in Pennsylvania now, 71-26.
Yeah.
I think one
does so go ahead.
no, sorry, no.
Does anybody really like is anybody like care right now whether it's Trump or Harris?
I don't, but I do. Let me tell you why. Because I made a bold prediction. I just went out there and said, "Hey, this is what I think is going to happen." I said what I would love to happen for me to wake up,
Right.
because God was like, "Yeah, Tracy, I know you petty." Because if Dr. West wins, you're gonna call up every Democrat you know, and you're gonna say, "Ha ha, I told you so." Because he knows that's how I am. Because I really disdain the Democratic Party. But I said, this is what I would like to happen. But I had to be, this morning I woke up and I said, I had to be realistic about this,
Uh-huh.
and that hurts like crap. But again, Dr. West has always said this is a moment in a movement, and we're starting to build a movement.
I do think unfortunately I'm one of those people who Trump, I think, just personally, is objectively worse than Harris. They're both bad, but I do think
Yes.
Trump is worse. However, I do think there's a big strategy thing for West, depending on whether or not Trump or Harris wins, because in this election, you've been seeing a lot of rich billionaires backing Trump who traditionally back Democrats. The reason is these people are looking for a takeover of AI,
Right.
a broader interception of that into our system, and they're accelerationists. They want to see a collapse come faster. They want to see more January 6th, more domestic extremism, more partisanship, more violence in this country because it enables people, it enables like the kind of the corporate influence of AI to replace more jobs, to go further into the workplace, to kind of come in subtly where we don't notice it. So there's some people doing that. And so if Trump wins, I think that presents a huge opportunity for people to really kind of wake up to the dangers of all of those things. And also, it would be really, really dangerous. If Harris wins, I think it's a sign as well. It's going to be a loveless win, unfortunately. So I think it's also a sign that, the country has gotten more conservative since 2020. And
Uh-huh.
it's a sign that progressive energy is also really quite down if Harris wins, because there's going to be a lot of people very disappointed. And,
I got some news. This is
Yes.
good news. I know it's a Democrat Republican race.
Uh-huh.
Mark Robinson, the black Nazi, has lost. Thank you, North Carolina.
Thank you.
Thank
Amen.
you. I know I want see we not Justice for All isn't running a candidate there. So you know what?
But
Thank you, North Carolina.
yes.
Thank you very, very much.
But Henry,
That's
I would like
what
to
I'm
add
saying.
something too. I would like to add what you said about about the direction where this country's leading leading when the billers or what did you say? You said the billers are supporting Harris over Trump, right?
some billionaires are supporting Trump though for the accelerationist reason,
AI, right?
like
And
yeah, like Musk,
Musk,
people
right?
like that. Yeah,
I would like to add too. There are going to be actually more crossover Republicans supporting Kamala Harris over Donald Trump, especially in Pennsylvania. And I just read this in an article last week. Those Republicans who supported Trump in 2016, 2020 are going to Kamala Harris or voting for her or think about it because they can't tolerate Donald Trump's, rhetoric. He's very divisive on gender, abortion, LGBTQ, right? and as well as they're the old guard Republicans who want moderation, and they fear that if Donald Trump becomes president, he's going to lead our country in the worst terrible state, and
But I
they can't tolerate it at all. And
I
so
have
they,
sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, Robin.
yeah,
I have a difference of opinion on this whole thing.
Yeah,
uh-huh,
I do
I,
too. Go
I,
ahead.
I think that if Harris gets in, Democrats will be complacent, and
Yep.
yeah,
they're just going to go back to sleep.
And you know
And
what they'll say? We saved
yeah,
democracy. Yeah, we saved democracy.
so as far as building a movement, I don't know. I think finally they have to say, boy, we have a really bad party. We can't even win
They'll
against
never say
Trump.
that.
Trump is like this
I asked a
cartoon
question on a podcast
buffoon.
and got shunned for asking, you know, this race, if you look at it on paper, it shouldn't even be this close. Trump
right,
is a 34-time convicted felon. He shouldn't even be close.
No,
You should be beating him by at least a minimum of
exactly,
10, a
right,
maximum of 20.
that's
That
how
says a
low the
lot about your
bar
party.
is.
Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. No, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Your party is terrible, and people are waking up to it.
Oh, by the way, I just want to let you know when I went to vote today, I checked off Dr. Cornel West, checked out Claudia De La Cruz, Dr. Jill Stein, Robert F. Kennedy, and then when it came to like choosing between Democrat and Republican, I checked off Kamala Harris. Please don't get mad. I did that because it's a protest vote against the Asians who are
Do you
supporting
have
Donald Trump.
ranked choice voting?
Yeah, I circled like everything on the ballot today.
What state do you live in?
I live in Virginia.
Wow.
Oh, well, so
Oh, but hear me out.
That's
Here,
actually
just hear me out for a second. So, because I know a lot of my people in the Asian community, oh my gosh, especially the Vietnamese community, they love Donald Trump so much, like 100%. Vietnamese people are like hardcore Republicans. Just not all hardcore
really.
Republicans on like social issues, but hardcore Republicans on fiscal issues. Meaning they don't want universal health care, they don't want free public education, advanced vocational training, they don't want paid time off, they don't want paid sick leave, they don't want free pre-K. And by the way,
Why?
oh, the various communities, they're also against LGBTQ, abortion, gender equality, but the main thing is economics. That Vietnamese people, I have an issue with Vietnamese people because I called them out for. I even took pictures, and most Vietnamese people they just can't. Yeah, they're not. I will say this: Vietnamese people as a collective. I don't mean to bash the Vietnamese community, but collectively, they most of them are not very diverse in their political thinking. I'm sure there are like other Asian groups who are more diverse than Vietnamese people are, but Vietnamese
What about
people. Go ahead.
different age groups? What about different
Yeah, so the age group, yeah. So the last time I went to a Vietnamese shopping center, I saw. I think there was about more young. I think I saw more young people supporting Republicans for U.S. Senate, House, and President. I don't remember the numbers, but it's definitely more. But would I say the younger Vietnamese Americans are more progressive than their parents' generation, than their parents are? Yeah, of course. But you look at collectively, the Vietnamese people, they're not very diverse in their political viewpoints. I'll put it this way.
I do think there's something interesting happening because I do think there's a big realignment going on, especially with the Democrats and Republicans. The Republicans are getting a lot more. They're cutting into the Democratic advantage among Asian American voters, among
Exactly.
Hispanic and Latino voters, among Indigenous voters too,
Black
among
voters.
young voters, and meanwhile, Democrats are cutting into the Republican advantage among older voters over 65, and then they're winning by significant margins, which is a complete flip. All the wealthy districts, they're crushing the suburbs, and this bore out tonight actually. Miami-Dade County, Trump wins by 56. Biden won that by 53 last time. Hillary won that by even more in 2016. So it's just been trending away from Democrat this whole time. And so I think there's a class realignment, I think, going on in American politics.
Absolutely, and the Democrats are just coming right out and saying basically they're only the middle class and up. Basically, that's
Yeah,
they're
they
liberating the
this
working class
campaign
people.
talked nothing that The Harris campaign talked nothing about poor. I'm like, are
Yeah.
you
No.
you do know poor people? We out here. We out here. So
Right.
Nelson
Well,
says if
consider.
Trump wins, all he will pardon
Uh-huh.
himself for the judicial issues against him and avoid having to pay what he has told, or he just has to delay the outcome. If he wins, he pardons himself. I would do it too. I'm not even gonna
Right.
sit here and lie. I mean, if I'm as guilty as he is, you got to pardon yourself. If the opportunity is right there,
Yeah.
you're not gonna just pass it up. He can't be that stupid. Now, I think he's dumb, but he can't be that dumb.
How about how right the Democratic Party is going? They're
What
being
Yeah.
endorsed
happened?
by
I think that the, no.
Cheney, Alberto Gonzalez,
Yes.
Bolton. I mean, they're all war criminals, and I call them
And they're
crooks
proud of
with
it.
wolves and
I would
all
say
I
that.
this.
I
You know,
mentioned I
they're
put something on
serious.
my
I would say
Facebook
this. The
page.
Democrats have been moving more to the right, but not
Uh-huh.
all the way to the right since the Clinton era, where
Yes,
Bill Clinton
you are
said,
absolutely right.
"Small. Let's have a the what did Bill Clinton said in his State of the Union? He's in 1996. He said the era of big government is over.
Over, yep.
Focus
Yeah.
on opportunities. In other
Mhm.
words, he was catering more to the right, but he was very careful not go forward to the right and not go forward to the left. And before that, it was also the DLC, the Democratic Leadership
Thank
Council,
you.
started in the late 1980s.
Hmm.
So as Republicans have moved further to the right, Democrats are either moving to or somewhat moving to the left, but they're not moving all the way to the left. It's because they receive endorsements from Republicans such as Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, Republican elected officials at the state, local levels,
Bolton.
governors, right, and
Um,
right because they look at Kamala Harris and Democrats as, oh, they're the party of moderation. We're
But
gonna
but I
But
go
also
ahead.
want to start World War III, and what
and
does he
that's the
say? I want to make.
facetiousness
that's
I
a
want to
of
scary
it.
make.
part.
I want to make the U.S. military the most lethal fighting force in the
Right,
world. That's what she said.
But that's the facetiousness behind this save democracy point.
uh-huh.
Is this like they believe saving democracy is about bipartisanship, right?
Right,
But if one party is a far right party, it's an agreement between a center right to right wing party and a far right party,
uh-huh.
and and that's not where voters are. It should be about nonpartisanship, is what it should be
I,
about.
Exactly.
I want to
I agree
It
with you
say.
one
should
hundred
be. I
percent.
mean, Henry, we talking. Listen, yeah, I agree. Go off on you. I didn't mean to do this. It's our first time meeting, but um, I don't know what country y'all living in, but I live in this country called the United States of America. Um, if I hear the Democratic Party talk about let's get rid of United Citizens United, why don't you propose legislation to
Listen,
get rid of
exactly.
Citizens United? Or here's another one. Don't take special interest money in your campaign. You know you could do that without any laws being passed. This party raised a
Yeah.
billion dollars. Do you know what you could do with $1 billion?
Yeah.
You could build 200 million houses.
You can
Mhm.
Literally.
absolutely. You can also
You
give
could
reparations too, as
you
well.
could get you could get African
Down payment
Americans
for reparations
reparations,
to the
forgive
descendants.
student loan debts.
And
Right.
this goes straight on to exactly, we don't believe you. That's what's happened to the Democrats right now, and that's why
Right.
people are tuned out. A Democrat comes up to me, they say, "We're going to get rid of Citizens United." I'm going to be like, "Oh yeah, you had a lot of time to do that, and you didn't do
Exactly.
it."
Yeah.
Because you're
Exactly.
benefiting from it too. And
Right.
and and so now I'm not going to vote if I don't see a choice, if somebody doesn't come out,
Yeah. I'll
do
say this to you, Henry. You see the Democrats. You're right. They're using the same talking points from Bill Clinton, because we all know
Exactly.
We know Bill Clinton was a very smooth communicator. He had the charisma. So when Democrats said they want to use bipartisan politics, I think what they are trying to say is, let's find where we can negotiate with Republicans who are extreme. Let's just aim for something incremental, right? But what we learned from Donald Trump is, if you want to do something big, start big first. Let the opponents negotiate, not the opposite, where Democrats negotiate with Republicans. It's supposed to be Republicans negotiate with Democrats on big items. You know what I mean? Because the problem is that a lot of Democrats have not learned a lot from Henry Ford. Like, go back, I'll give you an example. Henry Ford said in the I don't remember, like 1920s when he had his own factory. He said, if I did not raise my employees' wages or their pay, how could they afford to how could they afford to buy my own products where they are my own employees? So in other words, he was waiting
Um,
for his employees to bargain for higher wages at the top.
yeah, I had good news in
Sir,
North Carolina, but now I got bad news in
what's
Massachusetts.
Camilla
It,
Harris lost? Yay!
no, she's
Joking.
gonna easily that didn't happen. Elizabeth Warren has won re-election.
Uh
Uh,
huh.
well,
Well,
I actually, we have Maria Cantwell out here, and I actually looked up.
wait, Tracy. So Elizabeth Warren lost, right?
No,
Yeah,
she won.
She
she
won.
won.
Oh, you said bad news in
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
it's bad news that she won.
Oh,
It's bad news that she won.
sorry.
You know,
Yes, I
it's
didn't mean to interrupt, Robert. Go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, no, I have so many things that are backing up for the what you were saying about the DLC. A lot of people don't know about that. The Democratic Leadership Council that happened in 1985.
Yes.
They basically took Reagan's policies and put it
Uh-huh.
on steroids, but they also added joyfulness and identity politics with it.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
sold really well, right?
My
Right.
home state just came in. We are even
That's
more Republican than now. Oh gosh, Mike Braun just won the governorship,
Oh man.
and I'm disgusted.
where's that?
That's my home state,
Oh,
Indiana.
I'm
Ugh.
That's terrible, Tracy.
Indiana, yeah, we may be saying goodbye to Medicaid, and that's what I'm fearful
oh,
of because
So
he's
Tracy,
strongly against
yeah,
Medicaid.
Tracy, have you thought about moving to Chicago, Illinois? It's
I'm
closer.
gonna be doing something because it may become necessary because this man Brom is just he is off of his rocker.
Yeah.
Um, Florida has easily passed the right for its female citizens to have access to abortion care, 57 to 43.
Yeah, so Tracy, you know, since you said you're very religious, what's your position on abortion? I'm just curious.
I'm pro-choice.
Pro-choice?
I live on my own business lane.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I live at, and I intersected with what you do with yours is not necessarily what I do
Right.
with mine, and you get to make your own choices.
So let me ask
I
you this. This is a critical question. So a lot of most Republicans, including Donald Trump, are labeling Kamala Harris. Oh, she's so radical. Oh, she's promoting abortion, LGBTQ. She's promoting immigration. She's going too far to the left. What's your guys' response to it? Would you say she's
he know good and well she ain't that, cause then I'd be voting
That's
for her.
classic.
no,
Yes,
it's
that's
I
classic.
mean,
totally
for
backtracked
real.
on
I'm
every
like,
single
if
thing he's
she's
ever
radical
said.
left, that makes me. I don't even know what the left of the left of the left is. Like, what is the left? What is left to the left to the left?
yeah, meaning like like in other words, Donald Trump's trying to say, oh, Camilla, she's promoting socialism. She wants our country to be like Venezuela
That's such a
with price
ridiculous.
controls.
That
Like,
is so ridiculous. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, sir. Kamala Harris is focused too much on abortion, LGBTQ, immigration. Yeah, I'll agree with her on that, but she's definitely not doing enough on economic issues such as the high inflation, higher prices, wages not going up, or keeping with the cost of living.
she did
Uh,
nothing.
Enough.
Yeah.
Well, this is the issue though we're in with this.
right,
We're in for inflation all across the world because
Yes.
inflation is a global thing. There's nothing a president, I believe, can really do about inflation.
right,
We're so interdependent economically with what happens in China, what happens in India, what happens somewhere else, what percentage of cargo is passing through, Cape Town, South Africa on any given day. It's so dependent on all of that,
right.
and inflation has gone down relative in the U.S. to other countries like Japan and stuff
For
like that
sure.
far more.
But the
Uh,
prices are still higher than
still
they
higher.
were like 3-4 years ago.
But this is where foreign policy comes in, right? Because
Right.
if China attacks Taiwan, which they might, we would, the EU and America and a lot of other countries would be forced to put sanctions on China, creating some sort of trade war, which would vastly heighten inflation in the United States, and we would all be poorer, you know, and it's just a never-ending struggle. And I think when it gets so complex like that, people are searching for simplicity. They're just searching for somebody to tell me, like, I will just go in and fix it. And I
Right.
think that's the allure of Donald Trump too, is he's coming in, he's like, inflation, done, solved. You know, I just have like step one, say
Step
no
two.
to inflation. Step two, inflation goes, okay, Mr. Trump, I'm going to go away now. And Kamala Harris is like, well, I got a 15-point plan, and I want to do a commission.
Right.
And people are like,
I'll
whoa,
say this
you
too,
just
like,
tell me he's
right.
just going to make it go away, you know?
Henry, right. I'll say this to Henry, because Donald Trump, right? I feel, we understand why, working class people are supporting Donald Trump over Kamala Harris, because Donald Trump is saying the right tunes. How do I say this? He's identified the problem correctly, right? But he's not telling the working class people the solutions I'm giving is not going to benefit. It's not going to benefit you working class people. It's going to benefit people at the top. So that's one thing he's not telling the working class people. But he's speaking the populist language, because working class people want candidates who can speak the populist language. You know what I mean? Day to day, because their everyday lives are being affected. Whereas state, local, and national, especially at the local state levels, definitely, right? Because they know Donald Trump, when he was in office for 4 years, yeah, things were better when he came to office, right? This was before the tax cuts, but after he signed the tax cuts into law in 2017, which went to effect the following year, 2018, the economy started to deteriorate with the pandemic, and before that, Carrier, the company that received the tax cuts, was supposed to give raises to employees. No, what Carrier did was outsource jobs to developing countries. And that's one thing I think most working class people did understand about Trump's
Mhm.
tax cuts. They only got maybe
Okay.
like under
Sorry, guys.
$100 a year.
I got another state to report.
Uh-oh.
This is gonna follow just what I thought.
Uh-huh.
Florida has gone to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Where?
Florida.
Florida.
Florida. Oh, yeah, kind of expected that.
And Harris is holding Illinois, Delaware, New Jersey. Trump got Arkansas, looks like. Stuff. There's none of the swing states have been really, aside from Florida, have been really called yet.
Right.
I feel like, though I will say in Virginia, Harris is running behind Biden in some key counties by like 3-4% right now.
Uh-huh.
So I
Oh,
still think it might go for Harris, but I'm kind of shocked by
yeah,
that.
guess what?
Illinois also. Well, this is over. They might as well just call it for Harris because Trump barely has 100,000 votes.
Yeah,
Where's
Trump
that?
is on the verge of
Illinois,
getting
the state next
270.
door to me.
Yeah, guess what,
Oh,
guys? Guess what,
Illinois.
guys? In Virginia, where I'm from, Donald Trump Donald Trump has 49.4% of the votes in Virginia, and Camilla 48.9%.
But they're not
Wow.
done counting.
Yeah.
So are they putting third party candidates in that?
Let me see.
So there's like less than a percentage
Yeah, so far Dr.
going
Jill
for Green or
Stein.
We don't
Yeah,
even know. Yeah, if
Was
anybody
that
knows,
0.2 so far? The
0.4%.
Cruz is at 0.2. Chase Oliver's up 0.5, and Jill Stein's up 0.8.
0.4.
and do we know where Dr. West is falling?
He's at 0.2 in Virginia so far. Is what?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's a no shocker. Delaware has gone for Harris.
Harris.
Yeah, you can kind of almost guess who is.
And she's still leading big in Pennsylvania, so it might.
Really?
Yep. So far,
That's the one. That's the one I had going for Trump. Interesting.
Hey,
I
guess
think
what?
she might. Well, I think Georgia. I think they might as well just call it a wash. I don't think she's gonna win Georgia, but I thought
Guess what? Guess what,
Pennsylvania.
y'all?
What?
Kamala Harris won Illinois.
Yeah,
57.
we just said that.
Oh, you said it earlier. Okay, I didn't
Oh.
realize. Sorry.
Yeah, Democrats have won Illinois for like a long time.
Yeah.
One of the few.
And
Midwest
okay,
states.
in Illinois, how did Dr. West do in Illinois? Does anybody know?
Who knows?
Let me see. Gotta zoom out on my map here.
Yeah.
Yeah, her lead in Pennsylvania is like huge.
Well, okay, but where are they? There's like what? The major cities, and then you've got the
Let's put it
counties.
like this: Philadelphia, the largest city in the state, has not been counted yet.
Ah. So
I
Pittsburgh
don't think,
went for it.
according to this map they're putting up. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Philadelphia has been counted. 87.
Sorry, go ahead.
Philadelphia has been counted or counting. There are 18% in Philadelphia County, 87% Harris, 11% Trump. Was 18% of the vote in.
And that's Philadelphia.
That's Philadelphia County.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming has Philadelphia in it.
Yeah. Philadelphia County is the same as Philadelphia, city of Philadelphia. It's a city county.
Harris is getting closer in North Carolina. Oh wow, here's a shock. Oklahoma went towards Trump. Wow.
What?
Boy, the sky is blue.
So basically the middle will be pretty much red. As usual.
The Democrats are smoking dope if they think Ted Cruz is going to lose tonight. Now, y'all know Tracy don't like Ted. Ted and Tracy don't get along.
I got a question for you all.
He's winning re-election tonight.
I got a question for you all. What do you have to say to the Republicans crossover Republicans supporting Kamala if she loses?
I think it's creepy. That she.
Every time we're like Liz Cheney supporting Kamala, Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
How come on CNN and MSNBC? Because that's what they did this for. They did it to sell a book. They did it to sell a book in the suburbs.
The point is, it shows that they're approving what she's doing with war, with genocide and the bases, and they're fine with that, and they're making lots of money. I mean, Wall Street is making so much money off of.
Okay, no big shock. Rhode Island. Looks like it's gonna go towards Harris. Wow. So we got Rhode Island. We got our little smaller states: Rhode Island, New Hampshire.
Oh, it's right. It's the East Coast first.
Yeah, East Coast.
I was going to say what's going on with the West Coast, but we're just.
Yeah, y'all don't come into what started.
Oh no, it's only 5:51 here.
You got some close to. I know Washington State close to what 9,
8. Yeah.
8.
Yeah, guess what? Kamala, Carol. Well, I call her Carol because she has a Liz Cheney, but she has the Bill Clinton mentality. We need to go back to the neoliberal order of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Biden didn't.
Yeah.
Biden what?
Biden is a neocon. If
He is too.
neocon was a person,
Guess what?
That dude has voted for every war. He has never voted against a war. Never.
No,
Never.
Absolutely. In fact, he cheerleaded and tried to push wars.
Right.
So yeah.
Guess what? Kamala won New Jersey.
So they called it?
Yep. New Jersey.
New Jersey just got called. I was just about to announce it.
The New York Times, which the tech workers are on strike. Good for them. So we'll see how far how the website's able to stay up tonight. But they are leaning. They have a forecast needle, and they're forecasting a slightly in favor of Trump winning right now.
Right.
What state?
Just the whole thing. Like statisticians that kind of are like estimating out by how much votes count are outstanding and all that stuff.
Harris is leading in almost every county in Pennsylvania.
Let's say Trump does win,
which is probably what's going to happen.
How about that fallout toward third party people?
Oh, honey, we gonna get blamed for everything. I'm telling you right now, my site, because I plan on going live Saturday when it would normally be my congratulations to Cornel West 47 President of the United States podcast. we're going to hear, we will never ever hear the end of them blaming us. Ever. Ever. They're going to blame us. They're going to say, you already have people sitting here saying, if Trump gets elected, he's going to have us all arrested. You realize there's not enough jails to hold every black person in America, right? You do know that, right?
Right, and Democrats will say, "Oh, if Trump wins, oh, he's gonna put Black Americans back to plantation."
Well, they haven't cared about anything since Biden's been in. They haven't cared
Yeah,
about the
Black
how
Lives Matter stopped marching when Biden got elected. Like, what
I
happened?
know they didn't. They just lost. They lost the people who were. They lost the liberals. That's
uh-huh,
what happened when Biden got. When I elected, the liberals stayed home, but the people, they're still marching. But it's gone back to where it was with, Michael Brown and stuff like that, where
right,
it's really just people who are on the front lines who are
exactly.
marching.
And
Yep. And y'all get your bail money ready because apparently Trump is gonna, especially if he's black, he's gonna bring slavery back.
that's like I said earlier.
I
Yeah,
mean, if you're gonna just lie,
right,
I mean, like common sense should tell you there's these things called courts.
uh-huh,
he'll be
No, but
fighting
even
all the time.
like people don't even think we already have measures in place against a dictator.
right. But
Why wouldn't we use them?
you know what it is.
I'm
You know
not
what it,
saying it's gonna be great. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying it's gonna be great.
yeah, you know what it is,
But this
Tracy.
whole he's gonna bring back slavery. He's gonna cart people up and have them arrested. It's not enough jails to hold us.
Right. You know
There's
what it
not
is.
enough jail.
You know what it is, Tracy. You know what it is. I'll add. I don't interject because the Democrats, right? Especially the Becky and Karen Democrats or so-called moderate liberals because they're scared of Trump because they know Trump is the boogeyman, right? They portray him as the boogeyman. He's very masculine. He's nonchalant and he's very unapologetic. So that's one thing I think they're afraid of. They're afraid of an unapologetic politician returning to the White House. And so that's why Democrats have to spread propaganda and fear,
He's
right?
like their Frankenstein. That's just kind of they
Well,
Right.
created him
here's
and
what
are
I'm gonna do. I'm
killing
gonna
him
take a survey of you guys
during the
by
90s, and
by a
he's
show
just
of hands.
gone.
Now I don't need you
Huh?
guys to comment on this, but I need
Sure.
y'all to just show your hands.
Sir, okay.
Raise your hand if you think if Trump gets reelected, he's gonna arrest common citizens that protest against him. You actually think that?
Well, do you remember? Do you remember when?
Remember, Robin, you didn't show your hand.
Oh, I'm in 2 months. He will try, but Biden has also been taking away our rights to be able to protest. And
Yes.
the thing about it is, under Trump, people got out there and they were supported by
Law enforcement.
even Democrats. I mean, when we were occupying in Seattle, we had CHOP. We were occupying an entire area. We closed down a police precinct. It was, that was during Trump. Um,
Yeah.
so, you know, I I think that he will try,
Oh.
but I
Oh, he's
think
gonna try, but
Biden's
Biden's
been
trying,
putting.
like you said, Biden's doing the same thing. So, like, what's the
As Trump
difference?
is, right?
Yeah.
So it makes no
The,
difference.
Trump is going to be. The difference is that Biden has a lot of people who are more independent, like they're bureaucrats. Biden
Right.
has surround, Biden hasn't gone in to install people who are just loyal to him the way that Trump would essentially try to. So things just move more slowly in a Biden White House
Right.
than in
It's
a
like
Trump
right.
2020 White House. So if they have the same goal, if I want to arrest protester A, I do think a Trump White House would expedite that
Like
along
grabbing
the bureaucracy, FBI
right.
chain of command faster than a Biden White
Yeah,
House.
it's like this. I figure it like a cord that's I figure it like a cord that's about to break down, right? A cord that is breaking down very slowly, it's going to break down. But a cord that's about to break down, it's going to break down immediately. And that's how I see like Biden because Biden to me is like no different from Bill Clinton. Both of them are puppets, right? Especially like Bill Clinton in his last term of his presidency in 2000, he signed the. I'm trying to remember the bill. It was called. I knew he repealed the He repealed the Glass-Steagall Act, yes, in the late 1990s that allowed commercial banks and community banks to merge.
Mhm.
And to merge, and then they had the freedom to sell high interest rate loans to potential customers. And then when Bush Jr. came out of office in 2000, he accelerated a trend that had started under Bill Clinton under Bill Clinton in 2000. So to me, it's nothing different. The only difference is that Republicans are more radical. They'll do it in a heartbeat. Democrats, they'll do it incrementally, and without realizing it's already there, or
And
it's
it's
more.
really embedded,
Yes,
by the
See,
time we realize it.
I
Yeah.
disagree because here's why I'm going to tell you why I
sure.
disagree with you. Again, we have courts.
Yes,
Yes,
we
I
do.
know the Supreme Court is 6-3 in terms of liberal versus conservative. I
But we
get
also
that.
have state courts too,
We
states too,
have state courts,
local
obviously.
courts.
But here's the thing again, there's not enough. If he um if he starts arresting people, if he just arrests everybody that didn't vote for him, let's just say that I'll just give a dumb example, but if he
Right.
just starts arresting people that did not vote for him, there's not enough jail space to hold us all, right?
Exactly.
Where you gonna put people? How are you gonna? There's I think people,
Plus,
I think the Democrats have done a really good job of
Of showing
saying Trump
propaganda.
bad.
Trump
well,
Now,
bad.
there's states' rights. There's states will protect you,
yeah, I was like, but
Right.
wait
some
a
states
minute.
will. I don't know
Some
about
states,
Indiana, but
because if you live in
um,
Florida, apparently you can run over protesters and get away with
Right.
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
But
it's
Okay, but Nate, here's the thing. Yes, he promised that he could deport pro-Palestinian protesters. Where he gonna send us all to?
what do you
Again,
mean deport? How
where
do you
is he
deport
going to
someone who
send
lives
us
here?
to? If I'm out here protesting for Palestine
right.
and he deports me, well, I'm African American, so I
No place to
have,
go.
where am I going?
Right.
Like
Exactly.
if he deports me, let's just use me for an
Yeah.
example. Um, where do I go? He doesn't know whether I'm Kenyan, Cameron, South African, Egyptian. I
Right.
could be anything. What you gonna do? A blood test now?
Um,
right.
I mean,
Trump
You know,
just says things off the top of
I
his
think he
head.
says things
When,
off the top of his head.
yeah,
right, that he's that he, yeah, just because he said something that he says those stuff Thomas says doesn't mean he's gonna do it, right? Because because the Democrats, like I said, the centrist Democrats, they're fearing a Trump 2.0 that is coming, pretty
no, you're
soon.
right. I think the thing about it, Nelson, is that I think that the Democrats are too. I mean, they basically threw unions, under the bus back in the 90s.
Guess what?
They just do it in a nicer way.
Right, guess what? Interruption. Camilla 99 electoral votes. Donald Trump 120 so far.
Um,
You
Did not
still
make
got
and
a
it
lot of
yet.
states to go.
Yep. Sorry for the interruption. I'm just giving you like an update as of
no,
now.
that's fine. I just
No,
wanted to
yeah.
answer Nelson because we missed his last one, and thank you for all your
You
comments.
welcome.
And you,
But I think yeah, Harris didn't even come close. See, and this is the thing about the media. They sell these pipe dreams like Texas is gonna
Uh-huh.
turn blue. No, it won't. No, listen to me. I want y'all to listen to me. Just like Robin is in black and white right now. Look,
Right,
she's in black and
wait,
white.
it's kind of green toned, actually.
And I'm in color, right?
right.
Yeah.
And I'm a person of color. But
You can just say black person. Why not say black person? It's the same thing.
it's not really because I could be talking about anybody, but
I'm
point
just saying you're
taken.
black. It's make it easier,
Um,
right? Because never mind. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
um, Texas ain't turning blue.
It's
It's not
not.
gonna happen. Just like I got on air and said, hey, let's call Indiana right now. The last time a Democrat won Indiana was 2008. And
Obama.
that was Obama. He was the last Democrat to do it.
but you got to look at why.
That was
Why
that was
exactly?
wrong.
There's
Yeah,
a
you
why
know,
to this.
Why, yes.
and the why is there's an ecosystem of it's there's an ecosystem of
Capital.
companies who make
Yes.
money. The more they raise a bunch of money, they want to sell their services. As we were able to raise a bunch of money for XYZ candidate, for something else, for something else, for something else. And what I think starting to happen is, and this is what I think is happening to so much of the democratic apparatus, is it's just running on autopilot, right? You have so many people who are in it they have to sustain their own jobs, their own firms, their own consultancies, their own different things. They have to make up competitive rate. They have to, say things are competitive. They have to run certain things in certain places. They can't do too good a job in this because it might look bad for that. They have to kind of, it's a system working to perpetuate the own
Right.
system. It's the system working just to create the status. It's the ultimate status quo
Yes.
with the Democrats.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And that's the purpose of, because if you really, this is something that I hope the Justice for All Party does. Have a 50 state strategy. That's what Dr.
Uh-huh.
West started out with. He wanted to get on the ballot in all 50
50
states. Now,
states.
did it happen? No, because
No.
some states are garbage and we had the petitions there and they threw them out. But hey, I'm not calling any names, Pennsylvania, but hey, I'm calling names anyway. But you have if you're serious about what you're doing, you have a
I
50 state strategy because people live in all 50 states.
I got a
Now,
question. I got a question for the three of you. Let's say if Trump were to win today, right? Do
which he
you think,
will. I'm
right?
calling
Which
Trump
will,
victory.
but yes. Anyways, but do you think Democrats are going to learn from January 6th, 2021? Storming to the Capitol.
No,
No.
they won't.
No,
Democrats won't,
they-
because what they'll do is they'll be on my show Saturday blaming me for voting for Dr. West.
they'll don their pussy hats and they'll go out into the
And
street.
what do you three of you say like when the Democrats say, "Oh, Camille lost because we went too extreme, we went too far left"? What's your response to that?
I
Especially
mean,
coming from the
Well, that's
moderates.
She can say
ridiculous.
whatever she wants. She can say the sky's
yeah.
green. It's still blue.
I mean, they're gonna point fingers and blah 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 blah.
Right.
I don't actually think it lasts though. There's a lot of hate on Bernie
Uh-huh.
after 2016. It was a resurgence of popularity of Bernie among those same people.
Right.
Who were hating on him in the aftermath.
Completely.
They don't keep. They're not
Henry,
going to
I'm
keep
gonna
one
disagree
position
with
too
you
long.
because there are people still blaming Jill Stein
Because
for giving Donald Trump the election back in 2016.
People have got to realize though that the people who vote for Jill Stein might even vote for Trump. Like
Right.
But no, I'm still saying though, they're still blaming her, and this is 2024.
and
Like,
it's so funny
Thanks,
is
Jamie.
Chase Oliver is taking a ton of votes in this election too, and he is probably getting a lot of Democratic votes. There's no
ever
odds against
says,
him.
a vote for a libertarian is a vote for Kamala Harris. I ain't heard it yet, and you
Not
never
yet.
will hear them because it's this sense of entitlement. I have to vote for them. I have no choice but to vote for them. Oh yeah, I do have a choice. Watch this.
Yeah.
Watch me stand in line for 2 hours and 30 minutes to vote for Dr. Cornel West and Dr. Melina Abdullah. Watch me.
Did you? Is that how long?
Girl, I know you know. I have a whole podcast. A whole podcast called Congratulations.
I think I was teaching you. I think Jose was there. At that last one.
So well, yeah, but it is like 20, like going forward to 2028. I mean, we have to focus at the state level for Dr. Cornel West and other third party candidates. What do you think is the lesson we should teach the Democrats about? They need to lose.
No. I mean,
no. Go,
it's not
Henry.
about.
You go first.
Yeah, it's not about teaching. You can't teach. It's you're never going to teach Democrats because the thing is, there's so many Democrats in this country, right? There's a lot of independents who just vote Democrat too. The Democratic Party is really just it's a few hundred people, right, who work professionally in Democratic politics. That's their whole lives.
Right.
The way you win over Democrats is you go in and you get elected to something. Because there's plenty of other voters who are not Democrats who can elect you, who people don't vote, people who, are, all sorts of things. You come in and you say, look, I did X, Y, and Z, and then you're going to take those people along with you. It's and then the Democratic Party may even change at a certain point too, in orientation or in response to that threat. We've seen the Democratic Party consistently go to the right as the Republican Party's gone to the right.
Right.
The most effective person in influencing the Democratic Party is the Republican Party, really. So if you even win against Republicans, it may shift Republican Party locally, which may shift the Democratic Party locally. It's all about it's like those ball, we have the 4 metal balls on a chain. I forget what that's called. Newton's cradle. You can be on the far end and you can still, impact the one all the way up here.
Right.
Okay.
Because
Do
yeah,
you
because
guys really think the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are really that different? I mean, as far as the
They're
duopoly.
not. That was going to be my point, because I
I would
was just
say
about to say that, Robin. They are not. They are exactly the same.
They don't really care if the other one loses.
Yeah,
They
but it's
just
like,
want
oh, it's
those
your turn.
stupid
Oh, no, it's
parties
your turn.
there.
It's your
Right.
turn.
But I'll say this. I would say that Democrats and Republicans, they are they're the same wing of the same bird. However,
The
Democrats
politicians.
are more covert in their messaging. Republicans are more overt. Republicans are like straight up in your face. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't say straight face, but Republicans are more direct. I'll say direct.
I call them
Well,
the stab you in the front and the Democrats stab you in the
Stab you
back.
behind the back.
Somebody
Exactly.
said something
Pretty
like
much
that.
it.
Does a
Yes.
Democrat, they'll watch you fall, but a Republican will kill you. Well, I'm injured just the same.
Same, but
Neither
right.
one of those scenarios works for me. I mean, I
Will
don't
the
know.
Demo-
Go ahead, Robin. I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
will the
Robin.
Democrats finally care about the genocide that's being committed? when it's
Yes,
being committed under
because
Trump?
it'll be Trump doing it, and that'll make it bad. See, Biden doing it, it makes it okay,
I
right?
would,
It makes it okay for them to give
right.
Netanyahu all the money they want to, right? Because
But
they're
What,
not
what about
complaining
APAC? What about APAC? Both parties are taking lots of money. They said something about 80% of the candidates were given money by APAC or were supported by APAC.
Yes, the Democratic vote, the party itself won't change its policy. Not
Yeah,
going to
update.
change.
Yes,
But the people that voted Democrat, they'll be out in the streets where
uh-huh.
they should have been in the very first
Right.
place, moving their party to agree with a solution. Yeah, obviously.
They'll care about
Yeah, it'll be like, because
representation, they'll
it's
care
Trump
about
doing it. See,
patients being
everything. Yeah,
rounded.
right. You got to realize that with the Democratic Party, everything Trump does is evil. Everything.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether he combs his hair, takes a shower, plays bingo, everything he does is terrible. So they're going to automatically be against it. So yeah, they'll be out in the streets more.
Yeah, guess what? Here's an update. Donald Trump is now leading 137 to 99.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's catching up.
I mean, one thing to say though is, the Democratic Party, I think, is recognized that there is, like, if you see the polls, the
Right.
Democratic Party, people who are registered Democrats, are in a very different mind than the Democratic elected officials.
Yes.
Right.
That
sure.
is the fracture you have to go on here.
Right.
Except
Democrats, the same people going to vote for JFA. Democratic Party is just a small amount of folks, which is why they're the same.
Yeah, and also let's speak to that and speak what you said, both of you, because the Democrats, most of the Democratic official, I'm sorry, the I'm sorry, the Democratic of politicians, most of them are like my grandparents' age already. Like the average age for liberal politicians is 64.5 years old and up. And there's very few like young politicians or millennials, Gen Zers, some Gen Xers. So I see those Democrats, the Democratic Party, the people who control the Democratic Party, they're not going to fight hard for radical changes because I know young people today are tired of the two-party system, especially Democrats.
But they don't show. This is my problem with always, and this is not to hate on anybody that is younger than me. But the youth vote, us saying, well, the youth vote, they are too inconsistent when it comes to voting for me.
Why do you say that?
Because numbers bear it out. Numbers bear out just what I say. If you're running for office, especially president, there's really only one population that you can count on: 65 and above.
Yep, the baby boomer generation, baby boomers.
They're literally the only ones that I can say without a doubt they are going to make sure they vote in elections. People my age and younger, especially that 18 to, well, I'm not 18, but that 18 to
Yes,
35, they may show up,
or may not show up.
they may not show up.
Right. And also because the seniors in this country, although I just read a study, I just read a report, although the senior population is, I don't say, how do I say this, is dying slowly, they still have a lot of influence in voting. So the problem is the seniors who control our elections. They vote for Democrats in higher numbers, and not only that, but when it comes to like universal policies, I notice with baby boomers, they're against Medicare for all. They're against, free public education, advanced vocational training, against paid time off, against this and that, even though they want to preserve Medicare and Medicaid. So they'd rather vote for politicians who fit their demographics and who are in the same age bracket or close to that age bracket.
Oh, hold on a second, guys. In the state of Nebraska,
Uh-huh.
an independent candidate that's neither Democrat or Republican is
One.
leading 58.9% to 41.
And I
Wait,
want
that-
everybody to look at that independent candidate, because what is his platform? His platform is essentially Trump's platform. That
oh,
independent candidate is.
shit.
Yeah. But I think people should take a look at that, because that independent candidate, he's running on, very pro-union,
Uh-huh.
Medicare for all, essentially, all those sorts of things. And then he's also on social issues. He's running on seal the border, stop abortions, get rid of trans the rights of trans kids. This is exactly it's exactly he's running as a populist. That's what the Republican Party has become under Trump. It doesn't have an ideology, right? But that's also where most American voters are. Because most American voters, I feel like, are to the left of Democrats on fiscal issues and to the right of Democrats on social issues.
Right.
Which is extremely unfortunate, but I think goes to the fear, because people are so afraid, and I feel like they feel saturated by the culture before they're saturated by
Economics.
financial thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to move to Cuba. I can't. America, y'all getting on my nerves. Y'all getting on my nerves.
I gotta say this: more Americans have been moving abroad.
But can I
Since
just
Donald
say
Trump's election, since
that the-
2016.
Which is bad too, because they're gentrifying, places like Mexico City and all that, and then
Portugal,
displacing
all
so many
those places
people as they go
they're
abroad.
pushing locals out, and the people that are going. I think it's interesting when Americans move abroad, they call them expatriates, and when people move up here, you call them migrants, or it's crazy. And most of those people that are living, that are able to afford to be expatriates, are voting Democrat. They are like Democrat people,
Yeah.
Democrats are the middle class, the 401k, IRA, people with houses.
Right.
They are,
Yeah.
I
Like
think
the suburban mobs, right? Like the suburban
this
nights.
discussion tonight doesn't do anything. It needs to serve as a clarion call for everybody that's tired of the same coin with two different sides.
Yes.
We need to. I don't know how we're going to do it, because I basically we got 2 volunteers in our state. So how the heck? What the heck I know? But somehow we have to get more of us.
Well, I mean, I think we just gotta, to be very honest, I think you have to plug into what's already going on. Like I look at somebody like, I have a lot, and this is not me endorsing them or anything. I have a lot of issues with this group. You look at a group like PSL, right? A lot of, PSL is huge. It's massive in Chicago, in New York, in LA. They are everywhere. PSL even elected one of their former members to the New York City Council. You know, they are extremely successful, and you have to look at, and they are not a Democratic group. There are a few people just like the Democrats who are controlling that whole thing top down. What the messaging is. You have to agree on everything. Blah 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 blah. But you have to look at how they're reaching out to people, how they're movement building. They're doing these, really successful things, and you have to reach out to folks. And that's the issue with folks like with the mistake the Greens and stuff did, is the Greens said, if you're not a Green, we don't want to work with you.
Exactly.
We don't want to talk to anyone else who's doing anything other than our own thing.
Right, but Michael and Robin and Henry, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala here or Kamala, because they get so angry of how
Just call
her
her.
name is pronounced. Kamala just won Massachusetts.
I mean, I do kind of
Give
get
it
it
to me. It's
because
given. That's given already.
it's a respect
Solid
thing, as for her as a woman of color, of like, you're just gonna mispronounce her name. I
But
feel like
I know I can't. I go between the two all the time, and
yeah,
it's not intentional. But I'm just like, it's not like your name is Susan. Like you don't have a common name. It isn't like
let's get it down once and for all. It's Kamala, right?
Kamala Carol.
It's Kamala, I think it's like and then LA.
But I've heard Democrats mispronounce her name, and I'm like, oh, y'all not gonna say nothing about that, because. But anyway, yeah, North Carolina just shifted towards Trump.
Yep.
You see, I read most of my media. I don't watch really a lot of. I don't watch MSM. I don't watch a lot of stuff. So I'm reading Truth Out and these Times and all this stuff. So I see names in print. I don't really. But
yeah, me too. Same thing. Yeah, I don't watch. I definitely don't watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, because it's just too rhetorical. So the only source I go is on YouTube, and I definitely dig into empirical data, for sure. But I'll say this, a lot of states that Kamala is losing, she's losing a lot. She's losing votes. She's losing to Donald Trump. She's losing to Donald Trump when it comes to millennial voters, especially in like North Carolina and swing states. She needs young voters, and those young voters are crucial for her support. Unfortunately, she's not going to get that, especially among, Black American millennials, and of course, other American millennials as well. So she's not doing very well with young people. And I say, Kamala Karen, thank you so much for being vice president to Joe Biden. I mean, the Biden-Harris administration. We thank you for your time. But Kamala, you're 60 years old. You need to spend time with your husband. Go have fun with your grandkids. Please let
She doesn't have grandkids.
Well, you get my point. But the point I'm trying to make is that she's already wealthy. Go enjoy. Go to Costa Rica to have fun. But Kamala, we're sorry. We don't like you. Kamala, you're baby boomer. I'm sorry. We can't deal with baby boomers anymore.
And
I would love to like Kamala. I mean, if she actually shocked me when I mean it actually was shocking that she came out completely pro military, pro.
She had no choice. Do you realize what AIPAC would have did to her if she said, "Hey"?
Oh, she would have lost a lot of money. Yes,
yes.
But
she's what's that song by that rapper Cream? Cash rules everything around me.
Yeah.
Everything. And Nelson, chameleon, you wrong. That's all I'm gonna say. You wrong.
But what you said earlier, Nelson, I completely agree with. That both parties.
They're bought out, and it's just
Hey, guess what? They made that. They see that Fox News made an announcement. Donald Trump is the winner. 270.
oh please,
Kamala Harris.
that closeness.
150.
The race
is joking. I'm adding humor to this conversation.
So as far as young people, I think It's funny during Bernie when we were all excited about that movement. I was thinking young people,
Right.
are going to save us. We really are
Yes.
going to save us. And I was like wanting to be there for like support to like. So that movement showed me that any movement that gains momentum that we can get behind
It's definitely a challenge to
can
the.
grow.
Yeah, it can grow.
Right,
Right.
but when it's
And
so inconsistent, that's my issue. Is we can't just depend. To me,
Uh huh.
it just aren't showing up like it's a hit or miss. In 2022, the last time we had a midterm, where were they? They went somewhere, but they didn't show up to necessarily vote.
yeah,
Right.
that was a crazy time after the bloody Tuesday or whatever, bloody Monday, whatever, when
Right.
everybody dropped out and
And
supported
they've been
Biden.
falling away from the Democrats for a long time.
Uh huh.
But
But what I'm saying is that what I was amazed with that during that time was that people were actually like carpooling, van pooling
Uh huh.
during the winter to go and campaign for Bernie. They were
Yes.
they were giving money they didn't have. They were like, I want to give him more, but I have to wait until the next paycheck. It
Right.
was so inspiring. Um,
And look what happened. The DNC said, what we gonna do, you gonna vote for Hillary or you gonna vote for Biden, whether you
Or
like it
like
or
it or
not.
not.
I'm
In other words,
talking about.
they
I'm
paid Bernie
actually just talking
Sanders.
about the young people and the fact that we
Right.
can, if we can
How
get
do
them
you do
decided.
that though? That's what I'm getting
Yeah,
to.
that's
How
the
do we
question.
do
How do you
that?
do
That's
it
what
when?
Cornell's policy. When I had never read a policy page like that. It almost made me cry to read
But
his
Robin,
policy
again,
page.
okay, you saying
Um,
the young people to read this. How do we get the younger set to even pay attention to his platform?
I
well,
mean,
everyone
Uh huh.
I was gathering signatures with was younger. That was
And we
inspiring
had
too.
all older people.
Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah, we
Henry.
had all the people who are ready to sow, but not passing the torch to young people. Because I'm also part of Dr. Joe Stein's campaign. Most of the people who are on Dr. Joe Stein's team, I think they're like 50 and up.
oh yeah,
And
Stein is all the whole Green Party is older people.
yeah,
Mhm.
so that's the problem, right? It's like speaking of what Tracy says, so how we're gonna do it, how we're gonna gauge
Yeah,
them, where there are not a lot of young people running campaigns, mostly baby boomers who are pretty much in control. And I know how feisty baby boomers are. I'm not trying to bash baby boomers, but let me say this to be careful. Most baby boomers, I say most, because I know there are minority baby boomers who do care, but it's mostly baby boomers because most baby boomers don't want to pass the torch to young people because they know young people are going to not only challenge the status quo but radically change the system. So to baby boomers, they feel like the millennials, Gen Zers, and maybe some Gen Xers are adversaries against baby boomers' interests.
But
They've
you have
always
to look
been
at
that
the
way. Yeah, they were that way against millennials.
Yeah,
you,
I mean,
you
I've been having like I even have like dealing with my millennial parents, especially
Sorry.
my so-called dad, uncles, relatives. Yeah, yeah. So the baby boomers, I don't click. I'm sorry. So sometimes, like with the baby boomers, I can't talk to them anymore. Keep it to myself. I never discuss politics with them because I know they're thinking. They hate. Okay, let me not say hate. I'm sorry. They don't like big changes at all. And the changes they want to see happen, if they do want to see changes, they want to see incremental changes, really, from
That's the
little
problem.
reforms. I'm sorry, from incremental reforms to no reforms at all.
but you also have to look at something scary that's happening with people. You have to see. Everybody who's like on that really born mid '90s onward. Well,
Uh-huh.
first of all, they didn't experience the optimism and the hope of the '90s. They
Right.
seemed to be present. They didn't experience that moment after the Berlin Wall fell, where it just seemed like democracy was everywhere, hope was the future, whatever. They didn't experience that. They came into the world. They had 9/11
Yes.
immediately. They saw, and that could have been a moment when Americans came together. It did not come together. Then they had 2010,
Yeah, it was just only
coming of
temporary. They came
age,
together.
they had
No,
2010. You know, the
Right.
financial crisis. They had the failure of, you know, they saw Occupy Wall Street kind of fall apart,
Uh-huh.
and
4 million families lost their homes. They may have
Yes.
been part of that. Sorry, go ahead.
and that is deep trauma. I mean, honestly, think like that is the kind of thing that you're seeing all while and why
Yeah.
young people are
Right.
so
But
volatile.
there's also another problem too. I don't mean to interject. Sorry, but and also yes, that's true. Like all Americans experienced a deep financial crisis. Yes, but the problem is that the baby boomers who experience, their homes being devalued, foreclosed, those same baby boomers who experienced the economic collapse are the same ones who are running the system. And even we try to convince the baby boomers, don't trust the capitalists. Come join our movement, the socialist movement. And you know how like most baby boomers are very skeptical. It's like a kid. You know how like a kid can tell his mom is not doing well, suffering's bothering her, but she puts on a smile. She says to him, "Oh son, don't worry, things are doing very well." And this is like, "Mom, you're lying. Mom, I know you're lying."
But
That's
can I speak up
exactly.
for baby boomers for well? I went to
Uh-huh.
a new not sorry an anti-genocide protest, um, and at we have a naval magazine that is one of the biggest in on the West Coast, and that's where
Right.
we all were. And there was a whole bunch of not just baby boomers, but quite older people that have been doing it all their lives, Quakers, and you know.
Right.
So we can't divide people by age groups as much. It's
I
it's
mean, I'm not.
it's
I'm
more
not
about
necessarily divided it by age
But
too.
that's what we do. I mean, my whole question was set up that way because that's all I hear about. The young people, where at? That's all I'm asking is where at.
Yeah, the young
I
people are
get
not.
everything you guys are
Yeah,
saying, but all I'm saying is where
but
at.
speaking to that, Tracy. Yeah, a lot of young people are not voting, or that's why because the baby boomers don't want to pass. I'm sorry, they don't want to pass the torch, to young people, and that's the problem.
But look, young people are pretty messed up too. I mean, like, you know,
Oh yeah,
how many young guys are supporting people like Andrew Tate, right?
right.
That's a
hustle
global
culture.
phenomenon. You know, that's a
Right.
global cultural thing going on across the country. And people often talk about, different levels of systemic influence, right? You know, politics is very, very narrow. You know, then you
Yes,
got
it
maybe
is.
economics, stuff like that. But culture's deep. Culture really goes, it
Yes, the culture is
touches
deep,
so
and right,
much.
and that's
And
why I said
culture's really messed up.
yes. That's why I said the culture, that's why I said the culture of the baby boomer generation is very outdated because it's not reflective with today's trends, especially what happened since the 1980s. But I'll say this: I'm not trying to exercise age discourse against baby boomers. However, their ways of thinking and ideas are out of touch. I have nothing. I'm not trying to be ageist against baby boomers, but the way they think and the way I think, because I experienced it myself, of course, with my own parents, especially my dad and some baby boomers. When I told them, hey, this system's not working, we need to shift to a radical system. They're like, oh, you're crazy, Mike, you're socialist. I said, Dad, I'm not even socialist. This is not socialist. Like for example, Medicare for all. We know Medicare for all is not socialized medicine, but to most baby boomers, they say, oh, it's socialized medicine. I said it's not. So it doesn't matter how many times we tell the dog don't bark. The dog is going to bark because the dog has been conditioned to bark. So it's safe with most baby boomers. I'm not saying all baby boomers are like that, but yeah, there are minority baby boomers who are willing to change, understand. But a good majority of baby boomers are not willing to change because they're already beyond retirement age. They want to enjoy drinking champagne, while
Okay,
spending
wait,
time
wait,
with
wait,
their
wait, wait,
grandkids.
wait, wait, wait. Again. Okay, I always want to say this. I'm 62. My
Oh, I
my
mean,
my partner is I'm not quite a baby boomer. I'm kind of on that line, but it's okay.
yeah, I didn't mean to
My
sell. I mean,
partner Jose is like nonstop activist. I mean, this guy is trying to take City Hall down
yes,
in our local area. And that's what we're doing in when we have actually more time because actually baby people who are older actually do get more time because they get to that retirement age, and they if they are able to, they can actually.
Right, but but the problem with those who are but the problem with those who are at retirement age, they don't like to see a revolution. They like to see
Only the
incremental
comfortable
reforms.
people don't.
Yeah, only the comfortable
Only
people
those that are
that have
really
$150,000 income per year, but the rest of us. But I think, and I'm saying that as a clearing call, and I'm sorry, Nelson.
Yeah,
I know you said it's emotional backup, but I think this is what we need to do.
it is.
Is if we don't have these conversations now, in 2028,
exactly.
we're going to be saying the exact same thing. And
Yeah,
I want a
Exactly.
change.
Exactly.
but I'll say this: the silent generation before the baby boomers. Someone just told me this last week. The silent generation before baby boomers were more empathetic. They were against capitalism, unlike the baby boomers today.
Yeah, actually, they were there were more workers' movements. There were more people who, but then it wasn't great either.
Right, but what I'm saying is
You
that
know,
it
I'm just
changed under Reagan. When Reagan became president, more baby boomers became greedy. They decided to cut the
absolutely.
social safety net. They care about what's going to happen to the next generation, and so yeah, that's I can understand why the next I'm sorry, why millennials, Gen Zers are rebelling against baby boomers because those baby boomers at the top.
It's
When I
also
say when I
the
say
Gen
baby
X
boomers, I mean to see like
getting
those
the
from 1946 to maybe 1959. Yeah, I'm talking about those groups. Yeah, because those groups were so greedy. I mean, excuse my friends. They didn't care about what's going to happen to the next generation. They care about privatization. Everything
It's
needs to be
true. The
about greed.
80s were that way.
yeah, the
Yes,
80s were the decade of grief.
It was
Child
the
of the
me
eight.
generation.
It's the me generation. I
It
mean,
was
it
horrible.
really is. But because I want to be positive, but I
Yeah.
also have to be, as I move the podcast into its next phase,
right,
now it's starting to be like, because the four of us, we gonna be fighting whether it's Trump or Harris that wins.
right.
Mhm.
That's why I said
Regardless of whichever one that wins, we are going to fight. That's what we do.
that's why I said point of focus at local and state levels. It's
Yeah,
But
more
but
important than federal.
this is the issue that I see though too is there's a lot of this on like, oh, engage the young people, and the da 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 da. I mean, I think Bernie really did this too. There was a big emphasis on, all the rallies
Yeah,
were full of young people who didn't vote.
Mhm.
exactly.
You know, the thing, there's so many other different ways for young people too. Young people are getting involved in direct action
They
at
are,
yep,
very, very
that's a good
no
high,
one.
doubt.
high
That's a
rate.
good one.
Yes,
That is true.
And they're
that's
really
true.
shifting things, that way. But I think it's a little bit of red herring too, because it's another cudgel that can divide people, right? You can say like, well, you're holding out hope for the youth, or whatever, and
They are the boomers. They are
But
most of them
there's,
are.
even with direct action though, not to be Debbie Downer again, but I'm going to be Debbie Downer again. There are some things that only come through legislative change.
Yes,
Can I
And
just? Oh, sorry. Good.
and I think, yes, young people are involved in direct action, but we have to become better in saying, okay, you're out here protesting, so now let's take your protest and turn it into a vote.
exactly.
Also, can I just say something? The rents, everything has gone up so much for young people to be
For
able to
sure.
survive. They're working
Yep.
so many jobs to be able to just pay the rent.
Now
Yes,
So
that's
there's just
true.
not a lot of
that's
time
true.
on
That's
their
Yeah.
not
side.
just young people, that's people. I'm looking for a second job.
Yeah,
Even Gen Xers too. Gen Xers are suffering as well, especially like the Gen Xers who are getting closer to retirement age in the next 5, 10 years. They can't even afford to retire. They're working two
exactly.
jobs.
No, what's
Well,
retired?
some
I'm not even planning on retiring. I'm like, what is that? I don't
No,
know what that is.
when I say Gen X, I meant like those born beginning of 1965.
Mhm.
No,
We're
that's
gonna
not. Gen X is 1969 to
was actually was
1979.
well it's actually
Yeah, that's
1965
my
to
generation.
You
1980.
That's
guys
the
are really obsessed on these.
No,
no.
no, I
I'm
mean
like, no,
There's
don't put them in
no
there.
what is it,
It's
artificial
69 to
yeah,
yeah.
but you're right,
uh,
Robert.
That's
Yeah, but
my
you're right.
generation is
But
Gen
not only
X's.
that, but I'll say this too. You're right, Robert. Rent's going
divisions.
up. Yeah, young people are struggling. But you know what else too? The life expectancy for young people in America is declining very quickly.
Yes.
40, like I'm surprised. I'm seeing like more millennials are graying at age 40 years old. I was like, my gosh, you could be my
Feels so
grandpa
comical.
already. Yeah, more young people are like,
It's all-
life expectancy is going down for young people. More young people are, taking drugs to cope with stress, economic pain. Some of them are choosing to, or I can't say that, but are choosing to unalive themselves because there's no hope for them to move forward. Also, their parents are degrading them, blaming them for their own mess. And millennials are telling their parents it's not our fault. We entered the Great Recession in 2009, especially 2008, those who graduated from college in '08. And millennials are trying to tell their parents it's a lot of factors, systems, policies, history. But you see, the person baby boomer parents, they don't want to acknowledge, they don't want to understand the big picture or try to understand where their millennials kids are coming from. Because I can relate to that. It has happened to me, especially with my parents, because most baby boomers like to, what is it? Yeah, so most of them take this notion of pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, but they don't realize that there are policies that elevated baby boomers over Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Zers.
You mean like the GI Bill?
It's
Yeah, the GI
specifically
Bill,
white people.
exactly.
Yeah, because the GI Bill, I'm like, it benefited black people. How? 'Cause,
yeah.
Did it right,
like how? In what way? In what
right,
fashion? Because I must have missed. I must have missed that train.
right.
One thing I want to pick on was, I mean, Michael, you mentioned revolution, and I think that's a word that's obviously just means such very different things for different age groups as well.
Right.
Because it's been so, there's such a clear thing that's happened with communism, and communist revolutions, around the world. But I do think what's interesting is we've seen a lot of revolutions recently, like the Arab
Yes.
Spring, like the candlelight revolution in Taiwan, like these things where there was a dramatic social change, but it wasn't like people like bringing out guillotines or some sort of French Revolution thing. It wasn't a
Oh,
violent overthrow of a government. It was a broad change
okay.
against. Yep.
She
New
said time out.
York has just gone for Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
That is not a surprise.
It's very liberal.
But thank
It
you.
just, I just,
And,
it just
and
came
Angela
across.
also Brooks has won the Senate seat in Maryland.
Angela Brooks.
Also,
I don't-
yeah.
Yeah. She's not too far from where I live. I live in Virginia, so I'm not too far from Maryland. And plus, I donate to a campaign anyways. I didn't want to see Larry Hogan, not because I like the Democrats. It's because I don't want another MAGA in office. I'm sorry, in U.S. Senate.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to win the Senate too. So yeah, we got to get our bail money together because apparently Trump is going to just round us all up and put us in these jails. Like I said, there's too many of us.
Yeah.
I mean, are we all going to be wearing ankle bracelets or like what's the plan here? Because
Guess
I'm
what?
so tired of.
178. Donald Trump, 178. Camilla's still 99. Yeah, Camilla's
Kidding.
finished.
No, she must have
Yes,
gotten more
but
from.
you're not taking into account the states that are still counting. North Carolina still counting. Georgia still counting.
Right, but
Pennsylvania
what I'm
still
saying
counting.
is
Michigan still count. It's not over. It's not. It's nowhere near over.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Can you
But I had already said on my other podcast I thought Trump was going to win, and it's because of Gaza. I said I think too many people are just so upset about what's going on in the situation in
right.
Gaza
Yeah,
that
it's also the economy too. Economy, abortion, LGBTQ, women rights, because the working class voters like Democrats stop focusing too much on abortions. I'm sorry, stop focusing too much on social issues. You need to focus more on economic issues because Democrats felt like scared of, oh my gosh, if Trump comes back to office, he's going to take away our social human rights, such as the right to abortion, uh, such as such as detaining immigrants, right?
yeah, and they make another thing they do. Well, it'll be a national abortion ban. Okay, so you're just gonna sit back and just watch it happen and not do anything?
Yeah, because you know why,
Right? You
Trace?
don't have any fight. This is what makes me so mad about Democrats. Like you have no fight in you. You're just
Yeah,
gonna just let
if they
him
took to the streets,
just walk out there
it
and
doesn't
just
matter
do his
if Trump
thing.
is. If enough people are on the streets, I mean, there's a critical mass thing. I think Chenoweth,
Right.
or, has some research on this. If enough people take to the streets, right? It doesn't matter if you have a Republican House, Senate,
For
Donald
Trump.
Trump. They're not going to pass an abortion ban.
Right, it's at the
Um,
state level.
yeah.
Yeah, because
Wait a
states have
minute.
more influence.
Let me hold on a second. I gotta answer this, Nelson. I'll tell that fool where I live at. I wish he would come and get. I wish, cause I be dang on. I'm be scared of some orange man that wears a toupee.
Mm.
Yeah,
Uh,
Tracy, I gotta ask, do you practice your Second Amendment rights?
I do not. I don't like guns or weapons in any form.
You
I
sir?
can't stand them. I don't like the people. You can own your own gun. You're for it, but me personally, no.
Could I
I don't. I
yeah, could I
don't.
s- yeah, because the reason I asked that because more Black American boys are saying that yeah, we need to exercise our Second Amendment rights because the police won't protect us.
But I don't really buy that too, because at the same time, the Second Amendment has never been for anyone but white men. At the same
Right.
time,
Thank you.
Exactly.
the history is entirely like slave patrols, blah 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 blah. You look at these police shootings. There's a lot of people who've been shot who have and they just say like, look,
Right.
I have a lawful firearm in the car. Boom, they're immediately shot. It's crazy.
Yeah.
People
The
with
teacher
license
in Minnesota comes to mind. He was a lawful gun owner and he still got killed.
shot.
Hmm.
Yeah. Got out alive, right? Yes,
I mean,
unfortunately.
no, I just I have a real detest of guns. I
But I
think
mean, what do you say? I mean, Tracy, like, what do you say to the Black American voters who say we need to practice our Second Amendment rights to the Constitution because the police won't save us? Do you understand? Agree?
the police were
Tracy?
never meant to save us. The police were created to gather slaves.
It's
Right.
true.
I
And they
mean,
say
so I can't really hate on it, but like I said, it's a personal decision. I'm personally, I don't want guns in my house. I don't. I just
well,
don't.
that's why they're
I
scared.
don't like them. I don't
Right.
like them. I don't like weapons. If you have one. Be responsible.
Uh huh.
But me personally, I'm like, I think there should be. I think you should have to carry insurance on your weapons. Like get them insured, like you get your car insured. I've always
Right.
been for that, but
Because if you say that,
good luck with that happen.
right, because
So
if you say carry and search your weapon, don't you think that it's still violating the Second Amendment rights? Because if you
no,
raise
because if you like driving is not a right. I mean, people. Because if I want a car, I have to have insurance.
for sure, yes,
If I have
right,
a house, I have to have insurance.
But this is
right,
this is a culture war. I mean, this is exactly what Republicans do, right? They throw out
right,
these red herrings, and actually, you look. There's a really great documentary called like normalization or whatever. It's all about how kind of corporations have kind of a little bit taken over. Um, but you see like in Russia, like Putin's Russia, he's got people right who work for the government. What they do is they give money to a human rights group, then
uh
they
huh,
give money to Nazis, then they give money to this, then they give money to that, and then he says to everybody, I've given the money to the Nazis and I've given the money to the people protesting the Nazis, and then nobody knows what's real, what's fake, what's up, what's down, and it creates people in a cycle of confusion. And then they
right,
step back, and then the population does not rise up in Russia, and then voila. And what I think is going on with the culture with issues like guns, like transgender, like Americans,
abort,
is
right,
it's just used to divide people from the real things that are
yes, you're
going
right,
on, and to confuse people to say like, well, you don't know, you can't trust anyone, you can't trust us, you can't trust them, you better just sit this out, you
yeah,
better just not participate, not play the game, whatever. So I'm like, when someone talks to me about guns, I'm like, thank you next, like, because that's an issue that it's not going to change.
right,
Right.
Whatever you have
Yeah,
up there.
it's not like the Democrats are going to grow a consciousness, but like this ban AR, which military officials have literally said that is a weapon for the military.
Harry,
Regular citizens do not need those type of weapons.
right,
Do you think that the Democrats are going to ban it? Nope.
no,
They will not. They did it. That's one of the few things that Obama did get right was the assault weapons ban.
right,
The two things that he got right. But yeah, it's just certain things. I'm just like, you know what?
it is what it is, right,
There's deeper fish to fry.
right,
Exactly.
We have
yeah, we got better, yeah,
868 military bases around the world. For
yeah,
what
also,
reason?
yeah, we also have we also have economic disparities. We haven't addressed, that whole why gun violence is going on. It's because of economics.
Mhm.
People. How do I say this without, I'm not sure. How do I say it? Okay, let's say a husband is struggling financially, right? He became unemployed through no fault of his own. He needs to put food on the table. He needs to pay mortgage. He has to pay light bills, electricity. What is he going to do? He's going to go to to the bank and demand money, right? Because he needs money to survive, to keep the lights on, and he can't afford to get evicted. So this is where I think where gun and economics they do intersect, because it's economics, money. When you don't have money, of course you're gonna find any ways to survive. I know we may not agree what the person did, but we have to understand that point of view. It's about economic survival. And going back to 1994, where Bill Clinton signed the assault weapons ban, gun violence dropped dramatically under his watch. For 8 years, he was president. I mean, were there some gun violence under Clinton? Of course, but it wasn't so like rampant unlike today's. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, unfortunately the 1994 assault weapons ban expired. I was so disappointed. It should have been indefinite.
But yeah, that's just, like I'm with Henry. It's like, you know what, you want to talk about gun right? Okay, talk, just keep
Right,
talking. Okay, blah blah, go away. I don't care. I mean, I care, but I'm not gonna. It's like
right.
me having a conversation with somebody that's extremely pro. Like, you know what? Do you boo? I'm
Uh-huh.
not gonna.
Stop you, right?
Right. Right. One of the most important things is economic justice, and
There you
that
Exactly,
go. That's the portion
is
that I think.
exactly.
um, I mean, there are so many people that are unable to, to afford afford a place to rent. There are landlords that are coming up with different ways, like to keep
Hmm.
people out of
From
renting apartments so they
renting,
can.
yeah.
You have to have
Um,
a credit score, Robin, to get car insurance. Why are they running your credit to get car
That's
insurance?
crazy.
You are just getting car
Correct.
insurance.
uh, yeah,
That's
but,
all
but
you're getting. You're not applying for a loan. You're just applying for car insurance and
Hmm.
applying for a home. If your credit score isn't in the high sixes or low sevens,
You don't get a loan.
you're not getting that apartment.
Apartment, yeah.
there are
You
people.
forget about that. And then when you get an apartment, you have to have what? You have to
Six
have
times your income. Six
you have
times.
to have three. No, it's three.
I
It's
think
three
it's six.
times your it's three
Yeah, but
In,
times
some.
your
in New York
income.
City, now they're asking for 40 times the
Your income.
monthly.
Yeah,
Wait,
What?
why?
that's
In
Yeah,
crazy.
40,
Indiana, it's
40
always
because
three.
it's
It's
so yeah, but in New York it's so competitive because we've got a housing crisis. So it's
Right.
it's it's like 40 to 80 because so it's just rich people who are getting an apartment because they can outbid than somebody else because there's not enough homes for the amount of
and
Massive.
nobody's ever thought, please, let's just build new homes. Nope.
But the point is, yes. The thing is, what's happening in my area is that
Hmm.
they're giving like these wealthy investment developers subsidies and tax credits and all these things. They have these opportunity zones with
Hmm.
dark money investors, and
Right.
they do not build affordable housing. They say they're going to. They give them all kinds of credit for it, but then they end up changing the terms, and it becomes market rate and luxury housing.
Yeah.
They do, and then
Hmm.
people get evicted, and now they're doing no camping laws where they're pushing people out of the city.
You know,
It's
on
it's
this, right. You know, on this, Robin, because the premise is the tax code. When developers receive tax subsidies from the government to build affordable homes, because the premise that the federal government, especially HUD does not regulate what developers do. That's the problem. The problem is the discretion, autonomy, because we give so much autonomy and power to developers without regulating them.
the problem with our developers. The developers that are coming in here
Right.
is they're being what they call it, streamlining the development process.
Hmm.
They actually they are actually giving favoritism to developers over regular residents. They are
Yes.
eliminating shoreline and environmental protections. They're actually going in and changing laws that
And
actually
even
protect people and
and
the
right.
environment for
And
them.
right. And even like
Oh,
Wall Street. Wall
and
Street is buying homes too. Wall
Yeah,
Street.
Henry wanted to
Wall
say
Street's doing a
something.
lot of homes. I mean, I just want to say, like, this goes to one thing I think we got to get better at
Mhm.
is, and I think that Dr. Westerly embodies is the humbleness, and the humbleness is completely missing now from the Christian tradition. But I feel like
Mhm.
there's these issues are so like climate, like housing, like things like they're so complex. It's going to take us to also acknowledge, hey, I don't know everything about
Mhm.
all the different steps in the planning and permitting and approval and land zone and whatever process. So I got to go and I got to talk to somebody who does,
Mhm.
and all right, I got to figure this out. And then I got
Right.
to come up with a plan and we got to go forward on that. And we have too many
Exactly.
people right now walking around and they're like, I know the answer. It's super simple. And then they pull a Trump, right? Then they're just like, well, the answer is just, there's 6 key steps to the housing approval process. I think I saw in one kind of good video lays out, and then Harris and Trump, they each have plans to just touch on like one of the two. They're like, oh, Trump's like, oh, I'll just get rid of the tariffs on Canadian lumber. And Harris is like, I'll
Right.
just put in the quotas and it'll solve the issue. And you're like, guys, it's a complex issue.
Very
So
complex.
you're going to need to touch on different things of this and bring different
Exactly.
stakeholders in.
Right.
And
Even like when Kamala Harris announced a $25,000, I think, down payment to buy a house, and very clearly that $25,000 down payment, that's not enough to make a mortgage payment. That's not enough to buy to buy the entire unit. I'm sorry, to buy a single unit of a house, because at the bank is going to ask for income, like at least like six months to a year income. If you don't have a year income in addition to receiving the voucher, then what's the point of trying to
And
purchase?
then you have houses that are going to go up by $25,000. But hey, that's just me.
Yeah.
Ours have quadrupled in this area. We are in a working class town. We used to be, and they within for the last 15 years they've just
Guys,
Yes.
um, I'm gonna let each of you because I'm gonna. I hate to end this podcast so early, but I want to get
because
into
we're
the.
being all emotional.
No, because I'm still no. Because I want us, if you can, get into the West campaign because they're
Mhm.
meeting now. To get in there, and I don't want anybody to be prevented from going
Sure.
to that one. But I want each of us to say very briefly one thing that we're going to do to advance the justice for all party going forward from starting tomorrow when we wake up tomorrow
Mhm.
morning. What is the one thing we're going to do to advance the justice for all party? I will start with Michael.
Oh, you got me. I would say moving forward is we need to focus local, and state levels in terms of getting policies done before we can advance at the federal level. We
Okay,
need to look.
that's not one thing. I said one thing you're going to do.
Me? Okay, sorry, me. That's a tricky one. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start. For me, is looking at my logistics, where we did right, and where we need to expand going forward.
Okay, I'll accept it, but that's not quite what I was looking for. But
Yeah,
okay,
you can say as an example, Tracy.
Yeah,
okay.
you need those examples for.
Like I'm gonna call da 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 da, or I'm gonna talk to this person about running for office, or I'm gonna
Mhm.
like hold a meeting at my house, or I'm gonna.
we got to make the hard, you're throwing the hard ask at us. I mean, I would say I'm happy to sit down with anybody and, just honestly show them what like very cheap data, like election data tools are out there, how to use them, how to target people. This is how you can get started on that. This is where you should go out to, this is where you can kind of find some of these
Mhm.
folks. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of people voting for West tonight. At the very least, we can find those folks. This is how to use the tools to find them, and let's start there with the technology to actually go out and reach people.
Yeah, for me, yeah. So
I think you're right.
for me to answer your question is starting with direct action, meaning reaching out to voters
Mhm.
about who Dr. Cornel West is and the issues he stands for, and also breaking the information down in simple terms for voters to understand, absorb, because we know, like, unfortunately in America, we are like short-term thinkers. We need something that's going to happen instantaneously, so we have to make it like use brochures. Brochures will engage people even more and ask more questions.
Okay, Robin.
Go ahead, Robert. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Um, I think education is very important. I am going to continue continue within the anti-genocide movement and um, hopefully reach out to people through that. I mean, that is the movement I'm working on, and what the uh, you know fighting City Hall right here, but also reaching out to Cornel West supporters and trying to bring us together. Maybe with other groups like De La Cruz,
Mm-hmm.
bringing. Oh, I wanted to say this: the youngest people that I saw out there collecting signatures, the youngest, most really, really upbeat signature gatherers were the De La Cruz people. They were so fun. I mean, because we were all gathered, we were all kind of supporting each other in this park. But I'm just saying that we need to all come together. I think it's the time where we've got to really focus on that movement.
Follow-up question: does that include the Green Party?
Anybody who is anti-genocide, I've
Okay, I
had a
just want to
few,
make sure.
yeah, I've
I
had a
just
few
had to
run-ins
ask.
with
Had
groups,
to ask.
but no, I think so, yeah.
And that includes people who didn't vote, Democrats. I mean,
Independence.
Exactly.
Also,
yeah,
independence.
there's a lot of
We
folks
need to
out
reach
there.
out to. I would say we need to reach out to like independent voters because they're not aware that the third party candidates do exist, or they don't understand what the third party candidates stand on. Especially when it comes to, from my point of view, especially working on Dr. Joe Stein's campaign, is reparations. The reparations language need to be
I,
exact.
I will
As
But
also say the
remember,
Green
the
Party,
question was about the Justice for All Party.
Justice for All Party, and the Green Party, I also say, is done. It's done after this election. They've been kicked out of the Global Greens. They were part of the Global
Really? Are you
Greens.
serious?
Are you
Mm-hmm,
serious?
mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, I heard.
did not
Yes,
know
Yeah,
that.
the
yeah.
Bill Greens
So
wanted Dr. Joe Stein to drop out. I read about it.
yeah. So and in order for them to put out that statement, they had to say like we're not affiliated. They couldn't be part of the Global Greens anymore. They're in the same boat as Hungary's Green Party, which supports the fascist, Orban. So, they
Interesting.
are toxic right now, and I think they're going to lose a lot of funding,
Mhm.
and they're going to, once they get rid of that ballot thing, once they can't pay the fees for those ballots, they're not issue. They don't exist anymore because they've existed for this
Interesting. I
ballot.
thought they were doing really well, actually.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
Okay, so because I'm a cheater, I'm going to say two things I'm going to do.
sure. Um,
March 1st, 2025, the podcast that used to be known as Congratulations to Cornel West, the 47th President of the United States, will now be known as the Justice is Here podcast. The mission of the Justice is Here podcast is to interview people such as yourselves when
mhm.
someone from Justice for All is running for office, has a direct action, has a mutual aid event. That is what that podcast will do. And second, actually, we got three things we're doing. January the 25th, 2025, the Indiana Justice for All Party will have an organizational meeting.
All right.
Right.
And
So,
then July 26th, 2025, the Indiana Justice for All will sponsor its Medicare for All March
I love that.
2025.
I love the Indiana Justice for All. That's absolutely
Yeah.
great.
By the way, Tracy, I hope I
Um,
answered your question a second time.
Yeah. So those are, see, I cheated. I did three things. I'm like, nope,
Go
I'm
ahead.
doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing
No, I
this.
mean, what I mean is, did I answer your question a second
Yes.
time?
So I really want people to start really thinking about, what is it that we can do starting tomorrow?
Yes.
Because that's when the fight starts, right? Like I said, I was fairly confident. This morning I had to wake up and realize, you know what? There's a good chance that this country doesn't uh doesn't wake up and say, hey, Dr. West is the way we should go.
Oh
That,
no,
Mhm.
it'll take
but
some time.
it took a long time for me to get there, but I don't regret anything that I've done. I don't regret my vote for Dr. West. I would vote for him a million times if I could, 20 million times if I could, 300 million times if I could. I don't regret it. I'm not going to apologize for it. And when I wake up the 6th and everybody starts blaming me for um, voting for Dr. West because their candidate, Kamala, didn't get in. Oh well, you live and you learn.
Mhm.
Because that's what happens. So we're gonna let Nelson be the last comment.
Oh, oh,
Cornel
oh.
West is the best candidate for president. Even Joe Stein knows this, they need to get off their high horse and learn to do what is best for the people.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Hey,
Nelson.
Nelson, thank you. I love your comments.
Um,
And I think of you as part of Tracy's show. And Tracy, thank you for all the work you've done. So much work with this podcast and trying to collect signatures. You've just been there. You got Cornel West on your show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Henry, thanks for doing everything you're doing
And we're not done
in
yet.
North
I
and
was gonna quit the
Mexico.
podcast. I was just gonna be like, you know
Mhm.
what? Last Saturday was gonna be the last show. I mean, like months ago. I was like, okay, I'm done. I've done all I can. And then
Yeah,
people kept saying, keep it going, keep it going, keep
you
it
should.
going.
You should.
And I just was like, no, no. And then I was like, you know what? Yeah, where else am I gonna go? I don't have any place to go at.
Mhm.
I don't have a place where I can say, yeah, this group of people believes what I believe. And as long as they're fighting, I'm fighting, and I'm fighting when they can't fight. And
And,
they're fighting when I can't fight.
and you've showed us people that are from all over the country. And I love that. And their perspective on
Because
Dr.
we
West and why they're
couldn't
voting.
find anybody from Indiana.
They're out there. They're out
Where's
there.
Nelson from? Why isn't Nelson been a
But
guest?
yeah, I would say
Nelson,
this.
I don't know. Nelson, now, Robin did ask a very good question of you if you're still on. She wants to know why you haven't ever been a guest. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Nelson has been here from pretty much my 3rd episode
Oh wow.
from way back in September. I started this podcast September, the 3rd Saturday in September 2023.
Wow,
Mm.
I
I
remember. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
just the love warriors have been amazing, and they haven't. We've there's been a lot of people who did a lot of work, even folks who are not with us. Who went, there's any more there are a lot of folks who did a lot of work, and they held that banner, really high, and it's really tough to put yourself out there.
Mhm.
And I just thank you so much, Tracy, too. I mean, I think you're just such an
Oh yeah,
inspiration.
I got to stop all this. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna
I
cry.
know,
I'm
but
not gonna.
Tracy, thank you so much. Tracy, thank you so much for your insight analysis. You really do the real work, and you really show that Dr. Cornel West can win. And just not only win, but has a vision and mission for this country moving forward.
Yep. So
Stop.
that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna
Mhm.
keep that going forward.
And this movement needs more than me. It needs people out there watching. So, to anybody that is
Mhm.
watching and you're interested in being in the Justice for All party, go to CornelWest2024.com and click on your state, and it'll tell you how to get in contact with someone in your state.
Mhm.
Or if you can remember, you could go to Cornel West 2024 / type out the full name of the state that you live in. But you can always go to CornelWest2024.com and start that. I will not have a show Thursday, but I will have a show Saturday. Um, where I will talk about, of course, the election and talk about why I was right and everybody else was wrong. Um, although I wanted so you guys don't know how much I wanted Dr. West to be on all 50 states in the ballot. But It wasn't meant to be. So we've learned,
Mhm.
and we can move forward to the next time.
One
But
other thing, we need to keep his policy out there.
yes,
All the policy page. That policy page
yes.
needs to be
Mhm.
out. We need to be working toward.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Nelson answered your question. He said, I'm like the shadow, but you guys are awesome for the hard work you are doing. Thank you for your efforts and sacrifices.
Thank you, Nelson.
So
Okay.
Nelson's probably never going to be on the show. That's what he's telling
Mm.
me.
The shadow knows.
The shadow knows. Guys, thank you so very much. I'm going to get myself into this election party for the West campaign. Everybody remember to join me Saturday um, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do not plan on having a show Thursday. I
Mhm.
think I'm just going to sleep.
Right.
And just go to
Deserve
sleep.
it.
That's gonna be my goal is to sleep Thursday, um, and do that. So everybody, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. I'm gonna take everybody down and play the outro, and we'll take it from there. So.
Okay.
All right. Nice meeting you all.
Nice meeting you. Thank you.